of the Daly City Council this Monday, April 24th. And so just for the public's knowledge, there are several ways to watch this meeting. One is to go on Comcast Channel 27. The other is to go on youtube.com/Daly City Video Meetings, or you can go on the web at www.dalycity.org/agendas. There are also two ways to submit public comment. One is by written comments by submitting them on the meeting day. And secondly, obviously, is to attend in person and make your comments then. Let me now call this meeting to order by first inviting you to rise and say the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Let's go on to roll call, please, Madam City Clerk.
Ms. DiGiovanni.
Present.
Dr. Rod.
Present.
Ms. Manalo.
Present.
Mr. Sylvester.
Glenn Sylvester, present.
Mr. Buenaventura.
I am present. Okay, thank you. Now we're going to go on to presentations. All right, our first presentation is going to be a proclamation for National Library Week this April 23rd to the 29th. And I'm going to ask Dr. Rod, here you go, Dr. Rod, to present it. Maybe you can join Gary Pacheco, who is on the library board, and present that on behalf of the city. Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah. So I'm just going to read the proclamation for National Library Week, April 23rd to the 29th, 2023. Whereas libraries are accessible and inclusive places that foster a sense of connection and build community, and whereas libraries connect people to technology, providing access to broadband, internet, computers, and training that are critical for accessing education and employment opportunities, and whereas libraries offer opportunities for everyone to connect with new ideas and become their best selves through access to multimedia content, programs, and classes in addition to books, and whereas in times of crisis, libraries and library professionals play an invaluable role in supporting their communities both in person and virtually, and whereas libraries strive to develop and maintain programs and collections that are as diverse as the populations they serve and ensure equity of access for all. And whereas to adapt to our challenging world, libraries and expanding their resources and continue to meet the needs of their patrons. And whereas libraries have long served as trusted and treasured institutions for all members of the community, regardless of race, ethnicity, creed, ability, sexual orientation, gender identity, or socioeconomic status. And whereas libraries are cornerstones of democracy, promoting the free exchange of information and ideas for all. And whereas libraries, librarians, and library workers are joining library supporters and advocates across the nation to celebrate National Library Week. And on behalf of our Mayor, Ray Buenaventura, and my colleagues here on City Council, do hereby proclaim April 23rd through the 29th, 2023 as National Library Week in Daly City. During this week, we encourage all residents to connect with their library by visiting online or in person to access resources and services.
All right. Mr. Pacheco, come on up and receive the proclamation.
You want to just quickly sign?
Sorry.
No problem. I'll just... Okay.
How you doing, Gary? Good to see you.
Is this on? I'm doing okay.
All right.
I'm doing all right. Just tired. You know.
I see you're doing great work at the library board. I want to thank you. How much
Thank you.
We
Thank you.
appreciate you being on there.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Take care.
Go ahead, Gary. Say a few words.
Huh?
Say a few words, Gary.
Okay, well, first, I'd like to Honorable Mayor, Honorable Vice Mayor, and members of the City Council, I just want to say thank you for recognizing this to be Library Week. As you know, the libraries are very essential to the community. We provide many resources to many households who don't have internet, don't have laptops, don't have printers, scanners, and faxing and copy machines. So it's a great place for the community to access those. And it's also a great place for entertainment, you know, and I encourage the entire community to come out and support your local library. Come visit us once in a while, and you won't be disappointed. Thank you.
Do we have any comments? Go ahead, Ms. DiGiovanni.
Well, trustee, I know that you value your community and the service that you're on. We really appreciate it. And that I know that Shayla's here tonight and then how you all work together. And then it can be an equalizer in our community as well, as far as diverse community, for as languages. And like you said, the accessibility for ages, age-friendly, and to our seniors, are teaching many things as far as access to the internet recently, and our Bay Shore, and our hours have extended. So it can do nothing but grow. I had the honor of attending your meeting the other night and saw how wonderful it is and how enthusiastic you are and the rest of your trustees to serve our community. So I want to thank you personally for your service. And you've been serving this city in so many capacities. And no matter where you're at, no matter what you do, you have your heart in Daly City. And I want to thank you for that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember DiGiovanni.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Go ahead, Madam Vice Mayor.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. Amazing work with the trustees and the library. I think that the libraries are an extension of really the community, and having access to books will really, and also bridging the digital divide is key. This is really a place where intergenerationally people utilize, whether you're young or older. It's such a beautiful space, and also opportunity for really folks to utilize it, whether if they're looking for a job, whether they're studying for school, or even college kids that want just a space and place where it's more quiet with intergenerational homes. And so I frequented the library when I was younger, the John Daly Library, Westlake Library, and so I know that it is essential for our community. Thank you for your leadership and the whole Board of Trustees' continued leadership. And T'Challa, amazing work to you, your staff, and all the librarians that really keep everything running. So thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor.
Any other questions or comments? No? All right.
Okay.
So thank you, Gary. Good to see you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Go down. Since you gave him the proclamation.
Gary, you want to take a picture?
Gary, come on up and take a picture with Dr. Roth.
Yeah. Want to stand right here and see if you can get in the background?
There you go.
Can't see him, but let's try. 1, 2, 3.
Good job. All right, let's move on to proclamation number 2, which is the Wildlife Preparedness Month, to North County Fire Authority Assistant Fire Marshal Craig Whitner, and presenting is the Vice Mayor, Justin Manalo. Go ahead, Ms. Manalo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a proclamation for Wildfire Preparedness Month, May 2023. Whereas in California, over 2 million homes are at risk to wildfire. And whereas last year, there were 7,490 wildfires that burned 362,455 acres across the state. And whereas 90% of all wildfires are human caused. Human acts of carelessness result in wildfire disasters every year. And whereas each year more people move into wildland-urban interface areas, increasing the need to raise awareness to our citizens on how they can protect their property from wildfire losses. And whereas Zone Haven has been adopted as a county-wide tool to assist with informed evacuations during wildfire, and we encourage know your zone before an emergency arises. And whereas the North County Fire Authority encourages fire-safe behavior by all who live, work, and recreate throughout the city of Daly City. And whereas each of us can do our part to prepare for wildfire emergencies by taking steps to make effective changes to our homes, landscapes, to reduce the risk of wildfire. Now, therefore, Mayor Ray Benaventura, Mayor, and the members of the City Council hereby proclaim May 2023 as Wildfire Preparedness Month and encourage all Daly City residents to increase their knowledge and awareness of proper safety measures to protect themselves from the devastating effects of wildfires.
Did you want to say something? You're welcome to.
Thank you. Just wanted to remind folks of a couple things. Honorable Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
Vice Mayor, City Council, Mr. City Manager, fellow staff, and fellow citizens. Want to remind everybody of a wildfire awareness event Sunday, May 7th of this year from 10 o'clock to 1 p.m. at Arden Park. We'll have participating agencies, and including North County Fire Authority, Daly City Police Department, San Mateo County Sheriff's Department, California Department of Insurance. We'll be talking about defensible space, ready, set, go, evacuation plans, Zone Haven, of course, SMC alert, and whatever else we can answer for the citizens to reduce risk for the community. So I'd like to see everybody that, once again, that is Sunday, May 7th from 10 to 1.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Any comments or yeah, go ahead, Mr. Giovanni.
I just want to say, after we recently went to that seminar, and people don't realize we had all that rain and the winds and everything, not to forget how dry it is, even when you go up towards the Santa Rosa area or whatever, and then you think about all the people that are living so isolated, as we know that many people do, and even our Tahoe area. And now the melt comes, and you have that to deal with, and you have all the other things to deal with. That is a nonstop because of climate change. And climate change is real, and we don't even know what's ahead. But all of you have to be, I want to say thank you very much. That now more than ever, back when my father was a firefighter, it was a little different, but now you have different things you have to face that you never know what you're going to face, and I really appreciate and thank all the firefighters and all North County Fire across that you're ready all the time. So thank you very much, appreciate
My
it.
pleasure. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Madam Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to extend my thank you to all those firefighters who actually have gone to extend their assistance in the wildfires. I know that some of our firefighters have done that in the case of that need, and so it's all a community effort, and I just want to extend that. Some of you may not know that during those extensive fires, it was some of our firefighters that went out there to risk their lives and also support that cause. And so just wanted to extend a thank you.
Our pleasure, ma'am.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
For
Thank you very
accepting.
much.
All right, our next item under presentations is the introduction of new Police Department Community Wellness and Crisis Response Team, Member Malcolm McDonald. Go ahead,
Good
Chief.
evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. As you're aware, we have been participating in a pilot program for the Community Wellness and Crisis Response Team. This co-response police model matches a mental health clinician with a police officer on identified calls for service where a clinician may better support the needs of the community. We are well into our second year of the 2-year pilot program, and thus far, the program has shown significant success. In 2022, our Daly City clinician responded to nearly 210 calls for service, worked with community members and families to identify long-term solutions to reduce repetitive calls for service, and supported the organization by providing ongoing training to better equip police officers with options in the absence of a clinician. The 4 participating agencies in the pilot program generated nearly 850 calls for service in 2022, with only 3% of those calls resulting in a criminal case and only 2 out of the 850 co-response contacts resulting in a use of force. We're hopeful for the opportunity to continue and potentially expand this program for years to come. At the onset of this Daly City journey, we were extremely fortunate to partner with our clinician, Kathy McGuire. She came to us with years of relevant experience, and she truly built a bond with our officers and our community. Kathy has done phenomenal work for our community, and her knowledge and experience in the program led to her promotion as program manager for Star Vista. Star Vista has been a great partner, and Kathy will be able to remain during the Daly City search for her replacement, which I am now happy to introduce as our new clinician, who comes with also years of relevant experience, Mr. Malcolm McDonald. I've had the opportunity to work with him through the onboarding process, and I'm confident in his ability to equally support our community and the needs of the organization. I wanted to thank you, and then I will turn it over to both of them if they have any comments that they would like to add as well.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members. I want to tell you it has been an absolute honor serving this city, and what an incredible department to work with. And so I am delighted to have Malcolm step in my place and be able to lead our team to help our cities help people in crisis. So thank you very, very much for all of your support. And I will introduce.
Good evening to you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and respected members of this council. My name is Malcolm McDonald, and I am a clinician who has served throughout the Bay Area in several counties as a crisis support clinician. A lot of my work has been with young people, young adults, and also with families, and supporting youth who are in crisis, and also working in the San Francisco area supporting the unhoused population who also deal with many addictions that prevent them from being connected to the resources that they need. And so it is an honor to be here and to serve the members of this council and to work alongside the Daly City Police Department to serve the residents of Daly City. I look forward to this journey, and thank you for welcoming me.
Thank you very much. I'm sure we have some questions or comments. Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First and foremost, thank you so much for your service, as it was a pilot program and much needed. So, really finding ways in our community to address those most in need with mental health crisis. And it shows through the statistics, as Chief Christensen mentioned, just how much important this work is. And so congratulations on your promotion, and thank you for your service here. Welcome, Mr. McDonald, for onboarding with us. This is such impactful and crucial work that you both do, and we are so glad that there's a continuity of this program in our community. And thank you for really helping those most in need during a very crucial time. And we are happy for you that you're in a bigger role to support probably many other programs like this. But welcome to Daly City.
Mr. Sylvester, go ahead.
How'd you know I want to say something, Mr. Mayor? Thank you so much for your service thus far. And Mr. McDonald, I'd like to welcome you to Daly City. I do have some experience in dealing with families and crisis. I was a police officer in San Francisco, and I retired from there. But I want to admit that at the onset of the program, I had issues with the program. Not the issues in its concept, but the issues in protecting your safety. And I can see it's worked out very well the past year with 210 calls, which translates into 0.57% every day you get a call. And I know it can be daunting. And also in respect to the police department in helping our officers to be there to quell, because just the sight of a uniform can incite someone. So knowing that someone is there with our officers to address some of these crises, we definitely welcome you. I wish you the best of luck. If there's anything you need from this council, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And I'm sure the chief is very, very amenable to making sure that we have the tools to make things work. Actually, we want more. So welcome aboard, sir.
Dr. Rod.
Well, welcome to Daly City. Malcolm, I just want to say thank you for the police and Mar Vista for making this partnership happen. I think we were at a time when we wanted to be responsive to the community's needs and also being responsive to what was going on nationally, and looking at a lot of responses in terms of calls that don't need calls where we needed to use more, I guess, authority, but just to be responsive and being really focused on people's needs is really, really important. So I'm glad you're on board. This is a transformative program, and hopefully we could expand this program in the future. Thank you.
Mr. Giovanni, go ahead.
Thank you. First, Ms. McGuire, I want to thank you, along with the former supervisor, Don Horsley, our former city manager, Shauna Maltby. I know you guys work closely with our pilot programs. We were with South City and Redwood City, and it really took off, and now they want you. Although we don't want to lose you, that just tells you, because I remember how you said how you were so, Daly City PD really welcomed you, and it really felt like home. And Mr. McDonald, I'm sure she translated that to you, and it's a testament to you that you're standing between these two people who I know she would not put anyone here, and he would not as well, and with our community, and welcome so much. You'll love our diverse community and your specialties and your humanitarianism and your kindness and your knowledge and your careness and your experience and everything else. And we do hope at some point that you'll have an assistant down the road, that because I don't want it to be so overwhelming. I want you to know that, again, just like you heard, we're here to support you, and as well as our acting chief and Ms. McGuire. She's not going too far. We won't allow her, and that down the road for assistance, and it all takes money, but that's what it's here for. And we're here to serve this is the people's house. So we're here with those families in distress, especially after COVID. I know that has been a big increase and a lot on our youth, a lot of pressure. I see it. The high schools and, them getting back into classes, and they've been more than ever. And then across the street, you'll be working with, obviously, our mental health as well, and our acting chief, who has been this great relationship with Ms. McGuire, and then this chosen Mr. McDonald. Welcome to your home, and I think you'll embrace. And we even have a varsity coach here from a high school who I'm sure you'll be able to speak with later, Imani Stewart, who's very well known in our community and would love to hook up with you with our youth. He knows our youth extremely well with our chief. So welcome home. Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Giovanni, I also had a couple of questions, if I may. What I was interested in is that you said some statistics, some numbers. I'm wondering, how much do you know of the repeat calls from the same people, and whether or not there's sort of a reliance on the continuity of the relationship that, for example, she has built up with some members of the community, how important that is. And I also would like you to walk me through how procedurally this is done. So you get maybe a call that involves mental health issues. Are you bringing her and him there? Are you meeting there? Do you arrive together? Do you wait for each other? Is there an emphasis on a non-uniformed police officer to be with them? That's the sort, I want to get a picture of what's going on when a mental health issue arises.
Sure, I think, Kathy, in the position that she's in, probably is in a better position to answer some of those questions specifically and firsthand knowledge of being on the streets and handling the calls for service. There was an interim report that just came out that's in draft form through the Gardner Center, who's doing the research behind this program, the pilot program. So once that draft report's finalized, that's something that we can share with the council as well. And that will have some of the specific data that you're asking about, the repetitive calls for service. And there was some specific information in that report, if I recall correctly, that talked about the success of the repeat call concerns. And then I'll let Kathy kind of explain what her daily activity looks like as far as response to calls.
Okay, thank you.
So for me, I'm traveling with the radio in the car independently, and my ear is in the radio the entire time I'm on. And so when we get a call through dispatch will have the officers go to a call. And through that, if I know who that person is, I'll let them know I know who that person is. When they arrive or on the way, if they have information, they'll let me know. And I will arrive independently. The idea, number one, is safety, and the officers provide that safety. As soon as we get on scene, they make sure that I'm going to be safe. We work very closely. It is very important that we have a close relationship, me and the officers, because they need to know that I'm going to have them do the safety, and that when I'm on scene, I also act in a way that continues that safety. So when we are there, when they're there and I'm able to come on, a lot of times they will introduce me as a clinician, as a friend of theirs, to help. And so we go from there and decide the best, safest plan for that individual. If they're able to make the safe plan, then we walk them through that. And if they're not able to, then sometimes it requires hospitalization. But I'm always following up. At the end of the call, here's my card. Can I follow up with you? And people call me back. I even received a text message today from a young lady we saw whose dad is just having a hard time and not knowing how to help her. And she's letting me know, Kathy, I'm okay. I'm okay. I checked myself into rehab. And so there is that rapport that's gained, that trust, not invading, but being ever present. So if somebody calls in, even comes into the station, calls the phone, leaves a message, I always get back to them.
So let me ask you, I imagine in most of the generic situations, it's pretty calm. It's not, very violent or disruptive. Have you, or do you have the capability of going to more of a person who could help de-escalate a situation? So I completely get, obviously the police need to be there, and you have a valuable skill that, has it been used to its fullest potential? I guess that's what I'm asking. Could you be more involved, and now actually to Mr. McDonald, more involved in de-escalating situations?
What I can say honestly is that when I work closely with the officers, they give me that opportunity to de-escalate. And we work as a team. If a client is not willing to connect with me for whatever reason, I follow and pay attention to what the officers are doing with that client. When they're able to connect with me more at that time, we work as a team to create that de-escalation. Whether it's me holding a client's hand while they walk out the door, whatever is needed at that time, but we work very closely together. We pay attention to body language. We have our way of getting along so that we provide safety and support to that client. But I definitely can say that the officers here are very knowledgeable in mental health and have learned kind of how I work, how we work in the field. And so that has been tremendous value in what could be potentially risky situations.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. Anything else to add?
Yes, Mr.
Go
Mayor.
ahead, Mr. Sylvester.
Thank you for your questions, Mr. Mayor, and we focused on my concern that was for your safety, and you've kind of answered that question. So before I go on, I'd like to thank not only our officers and yourselves, but also we had a radio dispatch center here in Daly City. That dispatch center has moved to San Mateo, and that's where all the calls come in. So that tells me that they have been trained as well to either if a condition is needed, or if our officers arrive on a different call other than a mental health, and the officers see, well, this might be where mental health clinician might be needed. So kudos to you on that. Now, you said you maintain a radio and you respond independently. How often do you keep that radio on?
That radio is on me the entire shift. So I'm literally wearing it, like the officer, not as well, but I am wearing it, and I even have an earpiece so I can hear well, and so.
Well, good. The reason why I bring that up because equipment is very, very important, and officers, when they wear their equipment, they carry over 40 pounds. But with a radio, you know, every little bit adds on to it. Have you learned anything from carrying that radio? Let me be more specific. I'm sure you multitask, and you can be engaged in all sorts of things, whether you're in your car, whether you're shopping, but when you hear that magic call sign, you know it's you. Because sometimes, amidst all the other radio chatter, you can pick up on the call sign and you know it's you. So I think that's a skill you've picked up and you've learned about, because that's what our officers do every day. Just wanted to make that comment. Thank you very much for what you do. Thank you for the police department, and thank you to our radio call center dispatchers who are very well trained and good at what they do for all the cities here in San Mateo. Thank you.
Ms. DiGiovanni.
Yeah, just one more thing. That brought up a good point, because you can't be doing it 24 hours a day. So that proves that we as a council need to recognize what is needed, the acting chief and you, Mr. McDonald, as you get out in the field, and if it's really pertinent, because you only have, what is the shift? What's the hours of the shift?
It's about 4/10s, so either Monday through Thursday, Thursday through Friday.
Right. So then that we as a council know that if it becomes a need, then we need to recognize that and bring it to council, because we want to make sure that the accessibility, and then Mr. McDonald, we want you to stay with us. So thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
And thank you to all our officers.
Any other comments? No? All right, thank you very much, and welcome, Mr. McDonald. All right, our next presentation is on our gun buyback event on May 6, 2023. Go ahead, Chief.
Good evening, Council. Just wanted to share some information about an upcoming collaborative gun buyback event we're participating with San Mateo County Sheriff's Office, the San Francisco Police Department, the San Bruno Police Department, and the Colma Police Department. The event is taking place next Saturday, May 6th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the Northern Courthouse at 1050 Mission Road in South San Francisco. This gun buyback process is anonymous and no identification will be required. Non-functioning firearms may be valued at $50. Handguns, shotguns, and rifles will be valued at $100. And California classified assault weapons and ghost guns will be valued at $200. Firearms should be transported unloaded in the trunk of your vehicle, separate from any ammunition. If your vehicle does not have a trunk, the firearm should be unloaded and secured in a locking container and somewhere away from the passenger compartment. Flyers for the event are attached to tonight's agenda and are available in English, Spanish, and Chinese, and I can also provide flyers to anyone in attendance this evening. And that is it. I appreciate if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
All right, any questions? Go ahead, Madam Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think that it's wonderful that it's cross-jurisdictional and that it brings a larger event, meaning when it's multiple jurisdictions doing this, then the outreach will be larger and more guns will be out of people's hands. Given that it's just not us, it's actually, how many jurisdictions altogether?
5 total.
5 in total. And so I wish that we're able to continue to spread it out as much as we can, whether social media, on all our access points, and I know the other jurisdictions are as well. I'd love to know what the outcome is in the very end. But that's great that this is being done. As many guns that are out of people's hands is very important. And so we'll make sure to also broadcast it on my social media feeds.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Go ahead, Mr. Giovanni.
Yeah, thank you. I want to thank the acting chief. I know we were going to participate in it, and that all our jurisdictions here in North County, everyone we've ever had has been very successful, and Congresswoman Spear had given us a lot of money the last time. So this helps bring it together in a location that is central, so that people hopefully will even be turning in ghost guns. If you can hear me, bring them in. And because sooner or later, we are a little tired of finding them, our officers being approached with them, and our community. So ghost guns are included, I'm sure, and anything else that you may want to be able to turn in. This is your opportunity, and to get money, no questions asked, and that you and your family will be safer and not have access. And during these times where people are getting upset at an easier temperament due to COVID or what have you, they will not be able to get access, nor their children get access to these guns. And that we've had so much of this that, frankly, saying you're tired of it is not enough. So, and I'm sure our officers as well, because they do all the stops and they see all kinds of everything. And those ghost guns are disturbing as well. But I want to thank you, and I thank our other jurisdictions for participating, because you all work well together anyway. And this is just one more step that we can try to keep everybody safe the best we can. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Any other comments? Go ahead, Mr. Sylvester.
Thank you, Chief, for the reminder about this gun back. My council member, D. Giovanni, kind of stole some of my thunder, but that's okay, because it only tells me how knowledgeable you are.
Been working on gun violence prevention for years now.
Thank you. But I want to reiterate, it's going to be anonymous, no questions asked. So if somebody shows up with a ghost gun, it's not like we're going to get their identification and maybe go after them later on. Is that correct?
Correct.
And what if somebody turns in a weapon and it doesn't have a serial number?
No questions asked, yeah.
Very good. And what happens to all these guns that are collected?
So they have to be entered into the automated firearm system, removed from the automated firearm system as retained by the police department, and then they're all destroyed. So typically they're taken to a metal burn location where they're melted down.
Very good. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you. Go ahead, Dr. Rod.
Thank you, Chief, and the partnering jurisdictions. I just feel like a lot of this gun violence has been really, really close to home lately, over the past few years, either through gun violence that's happened on the streets to folks that have taken their own lives. And I think any strategy or method that we can take less guns off the street is a great idea. So keeping it short, thank you for, and the other jurisdictions for putting this together.
Great.
Thank you, Dr. Ron. All right, Chief, good job. Thank you for helping putting this together. Okay, let's go on to the Police Department Catalytic Converter Theft Prevention Program.
Excuse me, Mayor, you had a speaker card
Oh,
for
I
that?
did? Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you for reminding me. We have Al Kamoli. Mr. Kamoli, come on up, sir.
I think the chief covered all the, no problem. Thank you very much. I'm with a small citizens group, Citizens for San Mateo County Gun Buyback, which started this back in 2018. So I just wanted to let all the council members know, Mr. Mayor, Madam Vice Mayor, that it's coming up on May 6th, and this will be our 7th one. So far, we've had 2,300 firearms turned in over the last 6 buybacks, and they've just been very, very successful. So anyway, thank you for your help in promoting the event. Thank you, Chief, for your support of our program. So
Great. Thank you for coming and speaking.
thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right, so fortunately, I'll be able to turn this one over and have somebody else do the presentation here in a second, but I also wanted to use this as an opportunity to introduce our new community division.
All right.
So we've been working on a catalytic converter theft prevention program from previous discussions, direction from council. Prior to discussing the program, however, I wanted to take a quick opportunity to introduce our new community division members. As you may recall, we had to forego our community division at our watch change in March of last year to improve staffing, due to severe shortages in staffing. We were fortunate enough to be able to improve staffing numbers over the last year, and I chose to prioritize the community division at our most recent watch change this last March. Previously, we had one community officer, but with my new vision for the community engagement, I felt it necessary for the staff to have it staffed with the division staffed with 2 officers. Over the last month, we have been formulating ideas to expand our connection with the community. We've expanded our Explorer program, our Explorer advisors, our social media team, our recruitment team, and our patrol-based school outreach program called Project Ownership. We are also formalizing outreach efforts to the community, allowing them opportunities to share observations, ideas, and concerns. Our first coffee with the cop and chief is scheduled for tomorrow morning at the Ceremony Starbucks from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. And while we have a lot to accomplish, our initial efforts have been greatly acknowledged and appreciated by school officials, community leaders, and community stakeholders. The community division will be supervised by Lieutenant Ignacio Reyes, standing in the center. But those putting in the work on a daily basis are Officers Bonnie Shu and Ronaldo Rodriguez. Bonnie has been with us for 15 years, 10 years as a police officer, and Ronaldo has been with us for just over a year, but has 5 years with the local sheriff's department as well. Officer Shu was excited to have the opportunity to work on the catalytic converter theft prevention program. She put a lot of work and research into the program, and she asked for the opportunity to present this evening. So at this point, if there's no questions about the community division, I'll go ahead and turn it over to the community division for the presentation itself.
Go ahead.
Good evening, council members. I'm going to just go over the overview right now of what we're going to talk about. It's going to be statistics and history of the catalytic converter thefts in Daly City. We're going to present the recommended CAD card solution, review our video on installation of the CAD card, overview of how the label works, and the recommended distribution method, first come, first serve. So the history here. So between March 2021 and 2023, there was over 615 catalytic converters were reported stolen in the city of Daly City for an average of nearly 300 per year. Despite our proactive policing efforts, catalytic converter thefts remain a problem in our community. The cost of repair can cost thousands of dollars, which includes the catalytic converter. On some vehicles, sometimes you have to replace 2 of them on trucks. Victims of catalytic converter theft may need to miss work, incur expensive cost repairs, and experience frustrations because replacement on these parts are backlogged. So automotive shops, dealers are often experiencing a minimum of 8-week backlog on orders for certain make and models of vehicles. So in recognition of the magnitude of the problem, Daly City Police Department is launching a catalytic converter theft prevention program. And with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Officer Bonnie Shu. I'm going to pass around some CAD card kits so you guys can review them as well.
Please.
I'm Officer De Lorenzi, and I'm here to talk about the Catalytic Converter Etch and Protect program. The Daly City Police Department has purchased 500 CAT Guard self-install marking kits for the residents of Daly City. I have here a CAT Guard marking kit. The marking kit includes 2 ultra-destruct labels with an identification number that will break into pieces if attempts are made to remove it. The kit also includes window decals and metal etching fluid that are quick and easy to install on your own. And also information on how to register it in the CAT Guard database. CAT Guard works by placing an ultra-destruct sticker with a unique serial number on a cold catalytic converter. First, you'll want to clean the area where you will want to apply the sticker. Apply the sticker on the catalytic converter, and the metal etching fluid is then applied over that sticker. You'll want to brush the fluid a few times over the serial number of the sticker. Do that a few times until you feel it is enough. Remember, there is no need to remove the sticker once the fluid has been applied. Once you're done, start your vehicle, and the heat from the catalytic converter will begin to etch the serial number onto the catalytic converter. The unique number is registered onto the CAT Guard database, which will allow law enforcement to trace the catalytic converter to a specific vehicle if the converter is ever stolen and later recovered. Additionally, vehicle owners can place the 2 warning stickers on the vehicle to prove enrollment in the database and possibly deter thieves from targeting the vehicle. The Daly City Police Department chose to implement this program to combat the catalytic converter theft problem. For more information, please contact the Daly City Police Department at 650-991-8117. I'm Officer D.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, council members, and City Manager. So as you can see, Officer DeLorenzi was explaining the installation process of the CatGuard kit. So although we used a body shop to do that, we have spoken to local businesses just to introduce the kit and label, just to see whether if they can also install it to customers that potentially come in for whatever service that they go in for. But the stickers are also easily installed. Obviously, we would advise vehicle owners to be, take cautious and know what the catalytic converter actually looks like before self-installing the label, because I can foresee, vehicle owners mistaking a catalytic converter with like a muffler or some other pipe that's underneath the car. So obviously, we would instruct the vehicle owners to be cautious and obviously do some research before applying the label. So also, as Officer DeLorenzi explained, each label has a unique serial number that's per label. And so each vehicle owner who gets a label would have to register that serial number with what's called the International Security Registry. And this registry also works with the National Law Enforcement Telecommunication System, which nationwide all law enforcement agency will have access to. Therefore, we would instruct the vehicle owner to register their label with the database, in which, say, unfortunately, their catalytic converter gets stolen later in the process, then they would let law enforcement personnel, when they're filing a police report, their serial number, and then that way we can enter that into our automated property system, and therefore now it shows that this catalytic converter has been reported stolen. Now, say if an officer comes across, whether if it's a dumped catalytic converter or makes a proactive traffic stop and recovers, like 10 catalytic converters in someone's car, and if they see that this catalytic converter has a serial number, they can run that serial number out with their local dispatch, and then that dispatch would be able to tell you that this catalytic converter was reported stolen by John Smith or whoever. And then that way the officers would be able to contact that vehicle owner and obviously obtain more information as to, if it was stolen or if it was reported lost. But statistically, catalytic converters are stolen rather than reported lost. So what we're proposing as a police department is a first come, first served basis. We would purchase 500 of these kits. And sorry, for correction, I know Officer DeLorenzi mentioned there was 2 labels in the kits. We actually purchased the kit that has 1 label. So we would purchase 500 kits, and it would be distributed to Daly City residents, 1 kit per household. Although how this would work is that we would advertise it and market it on our social media platforms and as well as word of mouth, to basically inform the public that we're starting up this program. We would have the residents visit our dalycity.org webpage, where we would create as a department a registration form, and therefore the residents would be able to apply for the kit. If they do not have access to a computer or are not familiar, we would also provide them with our community office number, and that way they can call and then we would complete the form for them. How we would determine who obviously filled out the form first, everything would be date and time stamped. And that way we can obviously have a process of seeing who was the first 500 Daly City residents that applied for this label. Once we have hit the 500 marker, then we would provide them with a later date and time and instruct those residents to come to the Daly City Police Department, and therefore that way we can distribute the label to them. That's it.
Okay.
Questions?
So how much is the kit and can I just buy it?
Yes, so civilians can purchase it, although it's a little more expensive than police bulk. It would be through the Vehicle Road Safety Solution website. And it would be, give me 1 second. It would be $25 plus shipping for just, if you weren't working for the police department and buying it in bulk.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
But when we purchase it in bulk, it's obviously for a lower cost.
Okay. And then are you trying to coordinate with, I don't know, like a Jiffy Lube or something to see if there's a program we can develop so when they get their oil change, they can just do it?
Yes, so we've already spoken to 4 local businesses. I think it's called Speedy Oil, the one right at the corner, right by In-N-Out and Krispy Kreme, and then a couple other automotive places along the Mission Corridor. And they are aware of these kits as we introduced it to them. Although we would advise residents to get some sort of service done. That way they're not just tying up, obviously the hours and labors of just putting on a kit. We would advise them maybe get an oil change or something. That way we could also support our local businesses as well.
Okay. Dr. Rod?
I'm just curious, based on your statistics here in Daly City or maybe regionally, what is like the car that gets their catalytic converters stolen the most?
Go ahead.
The Toyota Prius is a very popular model. I'm not exactly sure why, but we take a substantial amount of reports for Toyota Priuses, pickup trucks because they're easily accessible when you can get under them. Those are the 2 models that off the top of my head, not statistics, but just from real life experience.
Okay.
That's what I've observed.
And then how fast does it take for someone to take a catalytic converter?
Less than 5 minutes.
Less than 5 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you.
Did you buy it?
Officer Shu, thank you for all that research. Yeah, I agree that we support our local business because as we know that there's been seniors, as you did that ordinance, that's been hit 2 or 3 times out on Hillcrest and other places of Fontana Village on the street. You guys have responded, and then they have to pay out of their insurance, ongoing. So this is a great idea. And then we just tell them to call. Can they call? Just call you guys and sign up?
Yes, so we're offering 2 different options. One's through our Daly City website and also through phone.
Okay, both of them, for seniors that don't have
Yes.
access?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll make sure that they have that information as well. And thank you, Lieutenant Reyes. One day, right? Officer Rodriguez, and for your community work as well, because even the churches and have you guys respond right away. And they're very excited to have this community team right away when they responded with the Westlake Baptist Church, right? And they've already started connecting with everyone in our community, and they're so happy. So, because they know that Officer Ortiz went on to do other things. So I want to thank you, Acting Chief and Lieutenant Reyes and our officers for this great community response. And this is sad that it has to happen this way, but it's still going, right?
Yes.
And it's very dangerous. We need to let people know, don't go out and try to stop them, because we've seen fatalities lately that people are getting shot just over a catalytic converter. It's not worth your life. It's not worth your life. Our officers respond quickly, so do not go out there if you see it done. It's not worth it. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mayor.
Madam Vice Mayor, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say thank you for the presentation, and actually thank you for the implementation of this. I think that it's not unknown that we've been hit hard with catalytic converter thefts. And in the most, I think, close to Daly City BART, around that area, by Los Olivos, multiple times as well, and that families and individuals got it stolen multiple times, as mentioned. And seeing that you did this research and finding ways to really solve the situation, ensure that these catalytic converters can be tracked is a step forward, and hopefully that really stops people from continuing to steal these from families and individuals. As far as the community engagement team, wonderful to see this happening. I know that this is something that Mayor Benaventura also wanted to see when we talked about our budget. And so seeing the team here and looking forward to seeing you all in the work that you do. So thank you.
Mr. Sylvester.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Officer Bonnie, thank you so much for your presentation. You've just made it apparent in increasing the transparency and awareness of catalytic converter thefts, which has been a very sore subject for me for quite some time. I'd like to thank the Assistant Chief for moving on my recommendation on CatGuard. I'm glad to see that it's come into fruition. Matter of fact, I just opened up the sticker and I scanned it, and it says, code check result. This is a valid etch code. This code is not yet registered to a vehicle. And it gives the serial number, status of vehicle or other item not currently recorded in ISR as stolen or destroyed. So to have that real-time information is outstanding. Amidst all the other bills that have been come down the pipe through the governor, this is one aspect to help prevent catalytic converter theft. However, it is not an end-all, be-all solution, because if an officer, he or she is fortunate to come across with probable cause to stop someone, and in plain view, they see a catalytic converter, they can run the numbers if it has one of these etched on. My question to you, Officer Bonnie, is can a citizen come into the police department and provide you an OAN that they said that they've put onto their catalytic converter? OAN is Owner's Applied Number. Can they come in and enter it into your system?
Into the automated property system, which is again a national database that will allow us to put unique identifiers into that system.
Absolutely.
So we can, absolutely.
So in the event that they don't have one of these CatGuard stickers, it can be done. Officer Bonnie, I'm not picking on you.
Oh, no, I don't feel that way at all.
Oh, okay. All right. And you said something that was kind of humorous earlier before, and that is identification of a catalytic converter. Would you put one of these stickers on your vehicle?
I don't have a catalytic converter on my vehicle.
Exactly. So I guess the public needs to know, if you drive an EV,
Correct.
there is no catalytic converter.
Correct.
Right, so, good point, wanted to bring up. Well, I'd like to thank you all for the presentation, and if I had my druthers, I would like to see that Daly City, whether through funding through Measure Q funds, obtain additional funding for additional CatGuard etching systems. And hopefully that will, I'm hoping that will become an agenda item that we can discuss. I would also like to see in the shops that you've approached that we can obtain some funding, saying somebody comes in with one of these, we will pay you $20 to put it in, and we can get funding for that. So it's not only about talking the walk, but it's walking the talk. So excellent presentation, and we look forward to hearing more and how the program proceeds.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sylvester. Let me just, I want to make a comment about the lineup today. And what I mean is, in all my years on the council, I've never seen a police-coordinated lineup of speakers like we've witnessed today. I thought it was very compelling. I thought it was very necessary. And I thought this is exactly what the community needs from the police, and how you are letting the public know what you're doing. You're responding to real problems out there. You're responding to problems that have been identified by the council, and you're doing it openly in a public forum, and you're reaching out to the people. And so I want to just congratulate all of you for doing that. Again, this lineup of today, I've never felt so safe in a council meeting with what I've been hearing, everything from a clinician to gun buyback to now this positive step towards eliminating catalytic converters. So I want to thank you all for coming, presenting, and giving us some hope. So thank you very much, everybody. All right, let's go on to the approval of the minutes of April 10th, 2023. Can I get a motion to approve those minutes?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
prior to proceeding to the approval of the minutes, I have some changes for city clerk.
Go ahead.
It says on the ethics committee that I am on the committee. Actually, I'm not on the committee, so I think that she needs to change that. Thank you. Further down in the comments for city council reports, it says Vice Mayor Keen. It's actually Vice Mayor Joaquin Jimenez.
Okay.
Thank you. And then also when it talks about supporting this C10 nurses, what's reflected on the minutes, it says senior nurses. So it just needs to be changed to C10.
Okay.
Our hospital C10, yes.
All right, any other changes or modifications requested?
Yeah, just one, Mr. Mayor.
ahead.
I just want it reflected that when we approved those other minutes, that when we went to vote, because I know we were thinking that amendment, that I did not approve the amendment.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, with those
That's it.
all right, with those changes and modifications, can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion
Glenn
to-
Sylvester, second.
All right.
I believe the vice mayor was ahead of me.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any objection? Hearing none, those minutes are approved. Let me go to approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve?
Second?
All in favor say aye.
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 Any objection? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. Public appearances, oral communications. So I have several speaker cards, but I just want to be clear. I have, on item number 13, I have 3 speaker cards on those. That's Carla Bordon, Melissa Lukin, and Matthew Rosen. So that's item 13. Item 14 is my lay, and item 13 also is Heather Cleary. So those will wait until we get to those items. The only other speaker card I have is Imani Stewart, who's identified, he wants to speak on an issue of children of DC. Is there, if you wanted to speak on anything else, please fill out a speaker card so we can have you come up after Mr. Stewart. Good evening, Mr. Stewart.
How y'all doing? How y'all doing? How you
Good,
guys?
how are you?
Hey, how are you?
Okay.
Welcome.
All right, I've been in Daly City pretty much most of my life. I know a lot of y'all know me. You know Denise and Tom, and used to sleep on this lady's couch right here. All right, just coming to talk about my experience and working with all the kids in Daly City. I've worked at pretty much every elementary school, every middle school, and every high school. And at this point in time, became the head coach of Jefferson High School. And I just wanted to let you know that we need help at the school and the kids on this east side of Daly City. I've been running my football program here for over 11 years. I have over like 184 kids. We started with like 80 kids, and now we're up to 184 kids. So we got kids coming from all over, but mostly we got a lot of kids in Daly City. I've only got one, maybe two donations from the city, and so I've been doing this by myself. And now that I'm working into the high school, I don't have the funds and the things to be able to take care of all these kids. So I'm coming to you guys to ask for help for these kids. As I look around the city, and as I go, I see that we have 9 fast food restaurants up and down Mission Street. We have 5 smoke shops. We have 4 pizza restaurants. We have 4 donuts, 8 liquor stores, 3 big corporations. All right, so it's like people making money off our misery of kids with depression, food, depression, cigarettes, depression, alcohol, depression. And these kids seeing this every day as they walk up and down the street in our neighborhood on the east side. So to counteract that, I need help to counteract that for all the students, all the things, and I wish we can get more help from the city, just in prevention and things of that nature. And that's pretty much all I want to say.
All right, thank you, Mr. Stewart. So can I ask what specifically, what help do you need?
Just financial help for helmets. My helmets cost $200 for just one helmet. It costs $200. Even for the high school kids, the helmets cost $300 for each to serve each kid. So if I have 183 kids on my team and $200, you just do the math and you can tell you how much it goes. I got a budget. I have everything that shows everything. But like I said, I don't get that much funding. So everything's just pretty much scraped up from friends. I was in the music industry, so I have a lot of friends in the music industry. My cousin, Michael Green, plays for the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
My other cousins, Bob Whitfield, Stanford Hall of Famer. So I get money from family and friends just to keep it going. And at this apparent time, I can't keep reaching out to those people to try to keep this going. So I'm asking for the city to try to help me.
And I thought you said Daly City helped you before. Do you know what that help was like?
I got one donation back in 2014 from the Daly City Police Department, and probably got another one in 2015 from Allied Waste Management, 2000 from Evan Boyd. He gave it, and then from there, it was like Mahoney, and I think I got like $1,000 from him one time, and that's it. I've never got anything else from the city.
Okay.
No, nothing.
Right.
So I'm just asking for help to try to navigate and be able to get through, because we talk about equity, and I'm trying to see where it's at.
Got it.
That's all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Okay, let's, I have another speaker card, Amanda Anthony from Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center. Do we have Amanda Anthony?
It's item 13 as well.
Oh, it is 13, sorry. Okay. All right, any other speaker cards? I thought there was someone here from Moms Demand Action, no? Yes, that's you. Oh, you want to wait then? Got it, all right. Okay, let's move on to before I move on, were there any written speaker? No, okay. Let's move on to the consent agenda. There's actually no items on the consent agenda except for, yeah, that's it. So let's go on to resolutions. Number 7 is accept an appropriate. That is, sorry. I'm sorry, I was wrong. Yeah, the consent agenda does have items number 7, 8, and 9. Are there any items on the consent agenda that any council members wish to pull? 7, 8,
Yes.
9, and 10.
Yeah, I'd like to pull, Mr. Mayor, item number 9.
Okay, so we have item number 9. Who else?
That was the same.
No, item number 9, okay.
Thank you.
So with respect to the remaining items, 7, 8, 10, and 11. Can I get a motion to approve those items?
Motion to approve?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any objection? Hearing none, those items are approved. Then now let's go back to item number 9, which is support the 2023 Daly City Community-Based Transportation Plan. Director Chu.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Mayor.
Good evening.
Vice Mayor, and members of the City Council. This item is to support the 2023 Daly City Community-Based Transportation Plan. Just a little bit of background. Back in 2002, the MTC initiated a community-based transportation planning program to identify transportation needs in low-income communities throughout the Bay Area. The goal of the program was to improve access and mobility, and also to engage residents and community organizations to identify local mobility challenges and come up with some community solutions. The community-based transportation plan in Daly City specifically was prepared in 2008, and at that time it was limited just to the Bayshore neighborhood. Since that time, in 2019, CCAG was able to obtain some additional funding to update the plan that was done in 2008. And in this round, they expanded the program to include 3 additional equity priority communities. Those areas include just south of John Daly Boulevard, between Lake Merced Boulevard and I-280, again in the Bayshore neighborhood, as mentioned previously, and then just east of I-280 and west of Hillside Boulevard and south of School Street, and then finally north of Highway 1 and east of St. Francis Boulevard. During that process, CCAG conducted an extensive community outreach plan that consisted of a presentation to the City Council in February of 2021. It also included some town hall style workshops in May of 21. They did pop-up events at the Bayshore Block Party. They also did surveys. They did electronic surveys as well as traditional surveys. And then they also did pop-up events at the Daly City Farmers Market at Seremoni. The project team recommended 28 projects total for residents in the 4 equity priority areas. This new updated 2023 Daly City Community-Based Transportation Plan allows us to be able to be eligible for funding through the Lifeline Transportation Program. As far as fiscal impacts go, there is no additional funding that is needed. The original update was done through grant funding. And then also, for some of those projects that are recommended, there would be some additional funding needed to implement some of those projects. But by the fact that it is in this community plan, we might be have our chances improved in terms of getting some grant funding to implement some of those. So at this time, staff is recommending that the City Council support the 2023 Daly City Community-Based Transportation Plan that was developed by CCAG. We do have Susie with CCAG here, and then also Greg, who was the consultant that was working on this community-based transportation program. He's from PlaceWorks. So with that, we'd be happy to answer any questions. Also, I don't want to forget Shirley Chan, our transportation engineer, who's definitely been involved throughout the process and reviewing and making comments on the plan.
Thank you, Director Chu. Ms. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Director Chu, and thank you to all that worked on this transportation plan. You know, I pulled the item today just to highlight the expansion of the program. The inception of it was for the Bayshore and should continue to support the Bayshore, but also other equity priority communities that Director Chu mentioned. Something very crucial in our community is the access to transportation. And we know that, I'll just share a story. Growing up, my parents didn't have a car yet. Our modal mode was the bus. Going to doctor's appointments. I was an infant, and how we got to the doctors was through taking that type of transportation and seeing the comprehensive outreach that was done. Even throughout COVID, I know that we couldn't meet in person, but there were virtual outreach to the farmers markets. And as any plan follows, it's always important to reflect and look at the needs on a continuous basis. And this plan highlights that. It highlights, an expansion of it, but also the continuity of the needs within the areas such as the Bayshore, areas around John Daly Boulevard. So thank you for this work. Also notice that the funding through at that time came from the MTC. But with a collaboration with CCAG through our staff, I think it's always a regional approach that's very important, and the support to our local residents, businesses, those who work in Daly City, those who reside in Daly City. This type of community-based transportation planning is necessary. And so thank you for working on this, and I'm in full support of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Go ahead, Ms. DiGiovanni.
Thank you. First, thank you, Mr. Chu, and thank you. I see you standing back there, Shirley. I know you always do hard work, and Susie, who is always identified, and from serving on there for many, many years. They do a lot of extensive research into the diversity of our Daly City and where it's needed, and appreciate everything that you guys do. And it's always such an honor for the numerous years that, and all the support we get from other electeds when the name Daly City is mentioned. We all are there to support one another, which is a beautiful thing about it. And then we know it's a positive input because we're raising up the communities, identify them, and give them the opportunities to make their lives better, seamless, and less stressful on many of our working families. So you know where my heart is, and for Mimi and everyone. And so give them my love, and hopefully I'll be back. And that these communities expanded into directly where it needed it. And it doesn't surprise me that that work went there. So thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Chu and Shirley. And you guys always say such great things about our staff and how great they are to work with. And I have to say the same thing, and vice versa all around. So it's a great synergy that's there to support one another. So thank you very much. Very humbled and grateful. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, any other comments? No, hearing none. Okay, is there a motion to support the 2023 Daly City Community-Based Transportation Plan?
Motion to approve?
Second?
Okay, we need a no. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any objection? Hearing none, that resolution is approved.
Great,
Thank you, Mr. Chu. Let me go on now to public hearings. Number 12 is the introduce the ordinance amending Daly City's Municipal Code, Chapter 2.58, the Small Business Commission, to establish a legacy business program. Ms. Motherset.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the council. This is an initiative brought to you by our Small Business Commission. This would be an amendment to our municipal code that regulates the Small Business Commission, and it would be to establish a legacy business program. The purpose of the program would be to recognize and celebrate the longstanding community-serving and culturally relevant businesses in Daly City. It is intended that a registry would be a tool for provision of promotional assistance to legacy businesses to encourage their continued viability and success. The amendments to the municipal code regulating the Small Business Commission would establish the program and give authority to the Small Business Commission to make the nominations for the program. Nominations for the registry would be limited to a total of 10 businesses per year, with each small business commissioner having the opportunity to nominate 2 businesses. The ordinance also outlines the criteria that would be used to consider whether those businesses would be eligible for the registry. The items are enumerated in your staff report, but they include, having been a business for at least 10 years, somehow contributing to the history or identity of the neighborhood that they're in, committing to maintaining their physical features or services that they provide, that there's no pending complaints against the business through code enforcement, that they have fewer than 100 employees combined in all their locations if they have multiple locations. And finally, that in their first year of operations, they grossed less than $1 million in revenue. This was, because this is for small businesses, but it's also not to penalize small businesses that started out small and expanded later with time. So just as a snapshot of the first year. Once a nomination has been made, ECD staff will then convene the Small Business Commission meeting to have the small business commissioners review these 6 criteria and make a recommendation as to whether that business would qualify. And then that nomination would be brought to the council. So it would actually be the city council that would make the final determination. And that would be the program. So if there's any questions,
Great.
hopefully answer those for you.
Okay, so let me open the public hearing on this item. Are there any questions from my council? Go ahead, Madam Vice Mayor.
So as a legacy business, I see the criteria here. Would they receive something that would designate them as a legacy business so that when customers come in, is it a plaque? Is it a
Right, so.
etching on their window? I was talking about etching on the, but
Right, no, and that's actually a great question. So we don't have it specifically defined at this point, but this would be one of the activities of the Small Business Commission moving forward, is to create what that would be. We envision a plaque, so, something hard that they can put up on their wall rather than like a window poster, but something a little more substantial to keep over time.
Okay, thank you, that was it.
Dr. Ryan.
Yeah, I was just curious, are there any other business legacy programs in the county?
I don't know of any other in San Mateo County, but I do know San Francisco has one.
Is this where we kind of cited our ordinance from?
We
Or not
did
ordinance, but
look at
resolution.
that. San Francisco's is a little more robust, and they also have a little more funding to provide support for those businesses. I know that was a question of the mayor at when we set time and place for that, and that's certainly something that we can expand over time. I think first it would be great to see what businesses are in this program, and also through our Small Business Commission, finding out the kinds of tools and things small businesses would need to remain viable, and so we could tailor incentives and those sorts of things to the program based on what those needs are. But
So
this
would
is just to kind of get it started, yeah.
So would it be safe to say that we would be like the first city in this whole county that would have a legacy? We'll get back to that.
Maybe by second reading, we could have an
Okay,
answer
sounds
to
good.
that. Yeah.
That's it from me, Mayor.
Go ahead.
I know, I get it, we gotta do it first. First of all, I think it's great that to our small business commissioners, they're moving in their direction. A lot of them have such great experience themselves, or property legendary themselves, right? That because the things that they've accomplished already. Are they going to be divided into categories like food, or is it just going to be in?
Yeah, as we've planned it out now, there's no categories at this point. It's just that each commissioner would get the opportunity to nominate.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So that way it's not just, because you get to, that would be hard competition and crazy over the food part especially, right?
Yeah, so there'd be no limitations on types.
That's good. So I appreciate the hard work, and to all the commissioners, bravo, and very proud of them, and you as well. Thank you, Tatum. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Giovanni. Mr. Sylvester?
No comment.
No comment. All right, can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, the hearing is now closed. Can I get a motion for city attorney to read by title only?
So move.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. This is an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Daly City amending Chapter 2.58 of Title II of the Daly City Municipal Code regarding Small Business Commission.
Great. Can I get a council member to introduce the ordinance?
Motion to introduce?
Okay, can I get a, do I need a
No
second?
voting
All
necessary.
right, thank you. All right, we're done. Thank you. Let's go on to item number 13, which is the consideration of the city's HUD 5-year consolidation plan for July 1, 2023 through June 30th, 2028, and a 1-year action plan for fiscal year 2023 to 24. Good evening, Ms. Silvera.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Each year, the city receives an allocation of community development block grant and home funds from the federal government. The Community Development Block Grant, or CDBG funds, provide money for projects and services that improve the quality of life for people with low or moderate income. CDBG funds are intended to revitalize urban centers, provide decent housing, expand economic opportunity, and address the urgent health and safety needs of low-income people. The HOME program provides funding for a wide variety of housing activities, including building, buying, rehabilitating housing for rent or homeownership, and providing direct rental assistance to low-income people. Before you tonight is the 5-year HUD Consolidated Plan for fiscal 2023-24 through 27-28. This document is required by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, as a condition of receiving federal CDBG and home funds. It describes community development needs for Daly City and sets priorities for community development activities over the next 5 years. The purpose of this document is to serve as a guideline for how the city will use its federal funds to address housing and community development needs. In addition, for your consideration tonight is the HUD 1-year action plan for fiscal year 23-24. This document describes the actual funding that will be allocated to various activities in the coming fiscal year, which begins July 1st. Fiscal 23-24 will be the first year of the 5-year plan. The 5-year plan before you tonight establishes the following priorities for the years FY 23-24 through 27-28. And first, I'll describe priorities for housing and homeless activities. The city's priorities established in the 5-year plan will be increase the supply of affordable housing, preserve housing affordability, and maintain and improve housing stock. Priorities for non-housing community development activities will include capital improvement projects, which is to maintain, provide, and improve public facilities. And for the 23-24, 27-28 con plan period, a key capital project identified in the 5-year plan is development of an infant toddler center at 1401 Sullivan. The other non-housing community development activities include public services, which might be support for childcare services, services for special needs population, for example, Project READ, and support for organizations that serve homeless population. And this might include legal services or operating support for a transitional housing facility. And finally, economic development, which means support and education for lower income entrepreneurs. And in Daly City, we have funded Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center, who offers training and consulting and other technical support for lower income microenterprises. So those are the priorities described in the 5-year plan. And the 1-year plan describes specific dollar amounts the city will allocate to various activities. For fiscal 23-24, the city will receive an allocation of $977,893 in CDBG funds. Combined with anticipated program income and unspent funds from prior years, staff anticipates the city will have an estimated total of $1,432,471 in fiscal 23-24. In January of 23, a request for proposals for CDBG funding was circulated to nonprofit organizations in San Mateo by city staff. A total of 8 proposals for various activities were received. The funding recommendations in the draft one-year plan envision funding all of the organizations that applied for funding. A summary of the 23-24 CDBG funding recommendations is shown as Exhibit A to your staff report, and I'll summarize. The draft one-year action plan shows a total of $205,179 for program administration, and this includes the staffing and consultant charges to carry out the various planning, administrative, and reporting requirements that HUD has as a condition of accepting this money. Secondly, $735,062 is envisioned for housing activities, and these funds will be utilized by the city and allocated to Habitat for Humanity, Rebuilding Together, and Center for Independence of the Disabled to carry out housing rehabilitation, maintenance, minor repairs, accessibility modification, and various technical assistance required under the CDBG program if we use the money for housing rehab. $35,000 is planned for economic development. This would be in the form of funding for Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center to continue their education and consulting program in Daly City. $68,000 is planned for public services, and this includes funding for Life Moves, Project Read, and Peninsula Family Service. A total of $389,230 is allocated for capital projects, specifically development of a 4,000 square foot early learning center for infants and toddlers. In January, Council approved the use of 1401 Sullivan for this purpose, and $1.8 million has already been committed to the project through the city's America Rescue Plan Act funds and community project funding through Jackie Spears' office. The remainder of the funding for the Infant Toddler Center would be provided through the CDBG program using a Section 108 loan. Under this HUD program, the city would be able to borrow $3.2 million and over a 20-year term utilize future CDBG funds to make annual loan payments. And this is the same tool the city used in 2002 to finance development of the Bayshore Community Center. The CDBG funding under consideration tonight includes $126,230 in FY24 funding that would be used beginning in July to carry out various pre-development tasks associated with the Infant Toddler Center, as well as $263,000, the anticipated first annual loan payment on the loan. And here's an architect's preliminary rendering of how the new child care center might look from the street. In addition to CDBG, the action plan describes how the city will utilize federal home funds. The city will receive an allocation of $354,725 in fiscal 23-24. Staff recommends that 10% be allocated to program administration and the remaining 90% for development of affordable housing. 15% of the allocation must be set aside and reserved for a community housing development organization. Staff recommends that the balance, or $266,043, be allocated to the 72-unit affordable housing development proposed for 493 Eastmore. And here is an architect's drawing of that project. Staff reviewed the 5-year priorities and the 1-year action plan spending recommendations with the CDBG Advisory Committee comprised of Vice Mayor Jesselyn Manolo and Council Member Rod Dasmagwal on March 6th. The city provided several opportunities for community engagement, input, and review of both the 5-year and 1-year plans. During the fall of 2022, staff collaborated with the other recipients of HUD funding in San Mateo County to carry out community outreach and consultations with stakeholders regarding community development needs. Over 40 organizations were interviewed. In addition, a resident and stakeholder survey was also carried out. These stakeholder interviews and surveys informed staff's identification of community development priorities that are described in the 5-year and 1-year action plans. In December of 2022, there was a public hearing on housing and community development needs. The draft 5-year HUD consolidated plan and the 1-year action plan were made available for public review at local libraries, the Daly City Community Service Center, at City Hall, and on the city's website from March 23, 2023 until April 23, 2023. Public notification of the availability and description of the draft documents was printed in the Examiner Peninsula and posted on the city's website, City Hall, and sent to nonprofit agencies serving low-income people. As for public comments, to date, we have received just one letter, and that letter is from the Child Care Coordinating Council and Build Up San Mateo County, describing the critical need for childcare in San Mateo County, particularly Daly City, and as well as the need for their support for funding the proposed child care center at 1401 Sullivan. If you have not yet received this letter, I have copies here. Okay.
You're doing fine.
Right, okay. To date, at this time, we are requesting that you conduct a public hearing and adopt a resolution regarding the city's 5-year HUD consolidated plan and 1-year action plan, allocate funds for various CDBG and home activities for fiscal 23-24, approve the city's 5-year consolidated and 1-year action plans, and adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager or his designee to sign the appropriate forms and certification as part of the city's submission to HUD of the 5-year and 1-year plans. And staff is available to provide any additional information desired by the mayor or council members.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Obel. All right, at this time, let me open the public hearing on this item, and I'll start with some speaker cards. When I call your name, please come up. You have 2 minutes to speak. Now, the first one is Heather Cleary from Peninsula Family Service. Evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and council members. I'm Heather Cleary, CEO of Peninsula Family Service. Peninsula Family Service provides tools and support for children, families, and older adults in 4 counties. In Daly City, we have Got Wheels Transportation for older adults in partnership with Sarah Yellow Cab. We have peer counseling and technology training for older adults, a suite of financial empowerment programs, and 4 early learning centers in Daly City, soon to be 5. Thank you. I thank you for your continued CDBG funding at our Mission Street site. And I also appreciate Daly City's plans for the development of a new child care center that would serve low-income children. Quality child care is essential to families and to vital economic development. According to our 2022 San Mateo County Child Care Needs Assessment, Daly City needs over 1,300 additional spaces to meet current demand. Support for this new early learning center is critical to helping working families recover from the pandemic and return to full employment. I commend Daly City for using its resources and property to support the development of a new 4-classroom childcare facility, which Peninsula Family Service is excited to operate. We bring a high-quality program for over 30 low-income infants and toddlers and their families. We use the creative curriculum and augment it with our signature STEM from the Start program to ensure even our babies are learning science, technology, engineering, and math. For our families, we have trauma-informed programming. We support goal development and achievement, and we have financial empowerment services designed to increase their assets and credit. Thank you again for your support of local children and parents and for your partnership with Peninsula Family Service.
Great. Thank you, Ms. Cleary. Our next speaker is Carla Bordon from Project Read.
Good evening. Let me lower this a little bit. Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members of City Council. My name is Carla Molina Bordon, and I am the Library Manager for the Literacy Services Division at the South San Francisco Public Library, and that includes Project Read, of course. I'd like to start off just by saying, by adding my voice to the choir and your acknowledgement as a proclamation of the work that our very good partners, the City of Daly City Library, has done on a continued basis. We have been in a service for nearly 4 decades in the North County. Side of San Mateo County. We serve adults with one-on-one tutoring in reading. We do workshops on writing. We also reach out to populations that are not necessarily coming into the library by having a Learning Wheels mobile that comes out and talks about the services that we offer for our adults. We also link other services for those that come to our program, inclusive of financial literacy trainings. And thankfully so, and this is just one example of success through the program in partnership with you as a city, is we have adults who have partnered with a tutor who are at home through the pandemic, not being able to come out, but meeting with their learner via Zoom and helping them achieve the confidence and the skill set to be able to achieve, to pass their DMV exams. I apologize for this. I will just say thank you very much for your support. Staff's recommendation tonight. I do have with us our new coordinator for the program, Stephanie Torres, and I do look forward to continued partnership with you. Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker is Melissa Lucan of Rebuild Together Peninsula.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Melissa Lucan. I'm the Executive Director of Rebuilding Together Peninsula. And I just wanted to thank you for considering the proposal that's part of this proposal that Ms. Obel has provided around our FY24 CDBG minor home repair funding for the amount of $63,000 to serve seven homes in Daly City. Those repairs will make it possible for 14 Daly City residents to continue to live safely and comfortably in their homes. Since we started serving Daly City in 2011, we've served 150 residents of the community with home repairs and 22 nonprofits. So far this year, we're on track for completing the repairs that were expected for this year. And to complement the funding, we often try to find additional funds to support the CDBG funds. And this year, we're able to secure funding from Lowe's Home and Garden, who granted us funding for 6 households to complement those funds. It allowed us to provide repairs of landscaping, debris removal, screens, electrical outlets, painting, installing of handrails, and so forth. We were also able to provide support for landscaping equipment and pavers. You may have caught us on KTVU News. One of the Daly City residents was also part of that story. So I just wanted to say thank you. We very much enjoy serving Daly City and also enjoy working very much with Ms. Obel, who's responsive and hardworking and knowledgeable. Always, we hope to continue to reduce the costs of living in the homes as we provide these repairs. And thank you for your support.
Thank you. Thank you. Our next speaker is Matthew Rosen, Habitat for Humanity, Greater San Francisco.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members of the City Council. My name is Matt Rosen. I'm Chief Program Officer at Habitat for Humanity, Greater San Francisco. Thank you so much for considering our proposal to complete major repairs and rehabs for low-income homeowners in Daly City. Habitat for Humanity Greater San Francisco builds homes and sustains affordable home ownership opportunities for family in Marin, San Francisco, and San Mateo counties. We have built or acquired almost 300 affordable homes since our inception, including 6 homes we recently completed in Daly City on Geneva Avenue. Since we began our home repair program and renovation work in 2011 in San Francisco's Bayview Hunters Point neighborhood, we've completed over 200 repairs of homes for low-income homeowners in San Mateo County and San Francisco. The goal of this project is to preserve affordable home ownership in Daly City through the rehabilitation of homes occupied by the community's low-income homeowners, particularly elderly homeowners, where the deferred maintenance of their homes place them at risk of injury, poor health, or displacement. We're seeking $396,000 for the fiscal year 2024 fiscal year for this project. With these funds, Habitat will complete a total of 4 rehabs or major repairs that will value between $50,000 and $100,000 per rehab. The kinds of repairs that we're doing are pretty complicated, and they're going to include roof repairs or replacements, plumbing, electrical, fixes like replacement of windows and siding, and addressing and removing dry rot. We know there's really strong demand for this program, having worked closely with Betsy Zobel, and we know there's a really significant need. Thank you so much for considering this proposal.
All right, thank you. Our next speaker is Amanda Anthony from Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, esteemed members of the council. It's great to be before you tonight talking about the programming that Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center offers. We are very grateful that you funded us this year, and we have been able to serve so far this year over 20 entrepreneurs to provide services to help them start and grow businesses. I think our number at this exact moment is like 28 in this year, which is above our goal, or near our goal. What we're hoping to do this next year is really expand that. What I'm hearing from all of the other needs in the 5-year plan is areas that we are also working in: childcare, revitalizing downtowns. I love the Legacy Business Program, figuring out how to help people's houses work for them, whether that's as a family childcare, a home-based kitchen business, or other options that would really help revitalize their own income, but also the economy of Daly City. We are very grateful for the opportunity to continue serving Daly City and partner with the Daly City Public Library to offer programming, to work with the Daly City, the Jefferson Union High School District to offer programming at our Jefferson Adult School, and of course our Daly City Recreation Department, who has been an essential partner. We provided vendors and connected them with a number of vendors in the last year for many events. So this is absolutely wonderful. Once again, thank you. I know I'm supposed to be up here only talking about Renaissance, but I just want to say I'm really glad to see who you're funding too, because Project READ, Peninsula Family Service are doing some great work in the city. So thank you so much.
Thank you. That was our last speaker card on this item, so can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any objection? Hearing none, the hearing is closed. So let me turn to my counsel for any questions or comments. Mr. Sylvester, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This question is directed to Ms. Zobel. Basically, I'm just looking for some clarification. I see 2 projects here through Rebuilding Together and Habitat for Humanity. And the word that's used is rehab. And I'm just wondering if any of these organizations have looked, or have we provided resources on Section 504 of the USDA Rural Development for home repair. Is that available to them, or has that been made available to them?
My understanding of Section 504 is that's a program that certain banks offer for acquisition and rehabilitation of units. I am not aware that, maybe I will let those organizations comment on that, because we have not facilitated that program here with city staff. But if maybe those organizations would like to comment on what they've done.
Sure, I'd be willing. To my understanding, this is to help provide rehabilitation, like replacement of roofs, deferred maintenance items, and low-income folks can get loans ranging from $10,000 to $40,000. And I'm just wondering, because there are many folks who want to get a part of our CDBG grant funds, and we want to try to spread it out as much as we can. So I'm just wondering if those 2 organizations have thought about or reached out regarding additional sources of rehab loans. I believe Habitat for Humanity had made mention about $396,000 that they're asking for 4 projects, which is going to consist of $50,000 to $100,000 each. So according to my math, that doesn't really add up.
I don't know that I can speak to what it is that you're referring to exactly. We have a loan program agreement with the city of San Mateo that may be those funds, and I can look into that. I'd be interested to do some more research on it, but otherwise, we generally have found that with that loan program, it is difficult to find folks who even are eligible for that or interested even in taking out loans, even when they're very, very low interest. So, but that doesn't mean that it wouldn't be something we'd be interested in looking into.
All right, great. Additional information on those loans. Loans are termed for 20 years. Loan interest rate is fixed at 1%. So I think that's an excellent program that at least you can offer to your folks. It's the U.S. Department of Agriculture Rural Development. All right, that's the only question that I had at this time.
All right.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? No? All right. At this time, then, can I get a motion to adopt the resolution?
Motion to adopt resolution.
Second.
Okay, can I get a roll call, please?
Ms. Di Giovanni,
Aye.
Dr. Rod,
Aye.
Ms. Manalo,
Aye.
Mr. Sylvester,
Glenn Sylvester, aye.
Mr. Buenaventura.
Aye. All right, this item passes. All right, let's go on to item number 14, which is to introduce the ordinance adding chapter 9.60 regarding firearm safe storage. Chief Christensen.
Good evening again, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and Council. So staff recommends the City Council conduct a public hearing and introduce this attached ordinance adding Chapter 9.60 to the Daly City Municipal Code, adopting a firearm safe storage requirement. On March 27, 2023, Council set April 24th tonight, 2023, during the regularly scheduled council meeting as the time and place for the first reading and public presentation of the attached ordinance for firearm safe storage. Research shows access to unsecured firearms can have significant impacts on intentional and accidental injury and death rates, especially involving youth and often with substantial inequities by race, ethnicity, and socioeconomic status. While the best prevention is to remove firearms from, the next best solution is to ensure safe and secure storage to prevent unintended access. This firearm safe storage ordinance requires any firearm as defined in the California Penal Code capable of firing a projectile, which is kept or stored in any residence, be properly secured or safely stored in an approved locked container. The container or trigger lock cable or lock or cable should be listed on the California Department of Justice Bureau of Firearms roster for approved firearm safety devices. This ordinance would not apply to legally possessed firearm on one's person inside of a residence or to the timely reporting of a lost or stolen firearm in violation of the ordinance, so as not to prevent crucial tracking of these firearms in databases. Any violation of this ordinance shall be subject to civil penalties through the city. This ordinance, in conjunction with other applicable codes, will further support and encourage safe storage of firearms in residences. The police department will make this ordinance and other applicable codes available at a link on our website. Through this link, we will also provide the process to obtain a cable lock for Daly City residents, which you were provided, as well as inform the public about the process to voluntarily surrender firearms for destruction. Additionally, we will share this information with our school districts for consideration and distribution to parents to support safety of children. Again, staff recommend that City Council conduct a public hearing and introduce the attached ordinance adding Chapter 9.60 to the Daly City Municipal Code adopting a firearm safe storage requirement. Staff is available to provide any questions or answer any questions if you have.
All right, thank you, Chief Christensen. At this time, let me open the public hearing on this item and invite, I have one speaker card. That's Miley.
Hi, good evening.
Evening.
My name is Miley, and I'm a mom of two here in Daly City and a public health professional. I'm here today to support the Safe Storage Ordinance. Firearms are now the leading cause of death for children in the U.S., and this is such a sobering part of my reality as a parent. Playdates don't just involve scheduling and talking about sharing. They require conversations about guns in the home, how they are stored, and a great deal of trust. The latest surveys show that fewer than half of gun owners practice safe gun storage, increasing the risk of intentional and unintentional harm to youth. And so it's essential that we have policies and public awareness of how to reduce gun deaths and injuries through some of these common sense safety measures. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lee. Is it Alex is here? Can you come up and give us a couple of minutes and tell us about your organization? And state your name. State your name for the record.
Sure. Nice to meet you. My name is Alexandra Pavlidakis. I'm a volunteer with Moms Demand Action. You might have received some emails from me suggesting that we introduce and pass the Safe Storage Ordinance. So thank you so much to the Chief and to the Council for introducing this and considering it. It's very important. Moms Demand Action for Gun Sense in America is a grassroots, nonpartisan organization made up entirely of volunteers. I'm a mom. I have a full-time job. I do this. Someone else is putting my kids to sleep tonight. I do this because it's so important to me. We support, we understand that the Second Amendment is a constitutional right. We support gun owners and people who have concerns about guns the same. We believe that the Second Amendment can be respected while simultaneously better protecting people through common sense gun legislation like this one today. Can I answer any other questions?
Any questions from the council? All right, well, thank you very much for coming. And thank you for all of you coming and showing your support. Acting Chief, maybe I can ask my council if they have any questions for you. Anyone? Go ahead, Mr. Sylvester.
Thank you for Moms Demand Action for showing up today. We've had this discussion before at a city council meeting, and I had posed the question, why would we need this ordinance? Because California has some of the most strictest gun laws throughout the whole entire United States. However, coming here tonight to bring this matter of awareness, not everybody knows about how strict the laws are in the state of California. So this action today is providing that information and getting the awareness out, to which I am completely appreciative of you folks being here. And ma'am, I think you said the right word. You're not, the right comment. You're aware of the Second Amendment, but at the same time, we want to have legislation for the safety while respecting the rights, the Second Amendment rights. So outstanding. And I'm looking for our city continuing to provide that awareness because of you folks. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chief. That's all I have.
Yes, sir.
So Manalo, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Acting Chief Christensen, for the presentation. I want to say thank you to Alexandra and Moms That Demand Action for your advocacy. Really, through you reaching out to the city of Daly City on this important issue around gun safety. I am a mother of two. I have a 2- and 4-year-old. And so, given what has transpired across our nation, every single opportunity to ensure that our children are safe, and this piece of ordinance in the city of Daly City that you've reached out to us to put forth is important. I mean, we know that there is state legislation, but also emphasizing it in our local jurisdiction is very important, because we're making a statement in our community that we want to have safe, our children have to be safe. and that also education is important. You've mentioned very important statistics here. And so I am in full support of this, a proponent. I stand with Moms Demand Action. I support you all today. I made sure I wore red in solidarity. And so, Mr. Mayor, I'm a full proponent for this.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Dr. Rod?
Thank you for coming through. Moms Demand Action. Like I said earlier in the day, it's becoming more and more closer to home. I run a nonprofit organization outside of my work here, and in the most recent years, I've been having students that I've known since they were elementary school kids that have been gunned down in front of parks, in front of schools. Recently, I had a close friend of mine that lost their child because of allegedly suicide or allegedly mishandling a weapon. And I never thought about, and then also, as a community college educator, we have exercises nowadays. We used to do exercises for earthquakes. Now it's just kind of so disturbing that we have exercises for emergencies that we could have, like a mass shooter on campus. It's like, where can we have our peace? Where can we have our sense of security? So I'm all full support of this legislation and any way that we can curb this recent, over the past 20 years of mass shootings and accessibility to weapons that are killing many youth across the nation. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Rod. Go ahead, Ms. DiGiovanni.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, where do we begin? Acting Chief, you're always there when we need prevention. Gun violence prevention, let's see. I think, Mr. Mayor, I have to give you credit. I remember years ago, we had our Moms Demand Action many years ago. We sit in these chambers with Sheikah Hamilton, with Brady, but we had the moms, because you guys are moms, and many of your moms who lost their children when I was doing gun violence prevention with you in San Francisco, with all of us together, Maddie Scott, the loss of Aubrey with Paulette, Brown Justice, and all of you were always there when we went to Sacramento. Everywhere we went, you were there. And now you're here today. And I remember in these chambers, I wasn't even on the council, and then just going in front and making sure that at the time was Senator Leno, and he would send right away, he signed something. I went Jefferson Elementary School District. They did a resolution. The teachers, you guys sat in here and gave full support to, I believe, Mayor Ray, you were mayor at the time, correct?
Yeah.
And that we shut down a gun store that was going to do assault weapons. But we did it, and we did it together. So we're back here together, never left, always will be there. And most people know, I think I still have the holes in my shoes from then till now with all of you. When we went to my leave, we all went to Sacramento all the time, constantly saying, and here we are, what year are we in? And we sent letters. JESD agreed at the time, it wasn't even a law. They agreed to send letters home at the beginning of each year, letting people know about safe storage. Wasn't even a message other than they didn't hesitate just to let the people know, don't put it in a desk drawer, just basic things. But now we have a state law and our great chief, and we're gonna work on the educational piece, which I know that we can work on together, and it's gonna be in diversity, and it's gonna show, what reflection of our community is. Reaching out to all the schools, our chief is really on board with this, educating, and letting people know that, even in Jefferson Elementary School District, guns have ended up on the campuses, and one, remember, Superintendent Rizzo got shot, and that was in 90 or 2000, because a gun ended up shooting. Another child locally fell down a hill here and had a gun and backpack. The parent didn't even know they had it. he got shot in the leg, luckily, but they don't know. Much less with like, I have to say, Dr. Rod was talking about the suicides that we've had sadly in the community and beyond, and things that continue. And it shouldn't have to be distance or whatever. I know we all have a long ways to go, and there's things that we want, but the bigger we make our circle, the stronger we are, and that what child, what mother, what aunt, what sister, what brother ever wants to hear that, ever gets that call. It shouldn't matter who you are, where you come from. That call is the most devastating call anyone could ever get. To lose your child to cancer is sad, but you lose it to something that can be prevented. And we can prevent that. And with all your hard work, and I've had with Ms. Watts and everyone else, it's very humbling. And Mali, a local, our Daly City is here, and they know it's got to be stopped. So, Chief, I know that you're working on it with the education, and look forward to that. And thank you, Alexander, and that they're going to even put this on their websites where they can access it and to go above and beyond. So I can't say enough because, gun violence prevention is everything. And again, I have to applaud our mayor. He has been a part of this, Mayor Ray. I want to applaud you because I remember standing in front of you and you did not hesitate. And you had the courage. And then we were being threatened so much by the NRA and all them back then, but they had the courage. And we took the courage and we still continue. So, yes, it's always yes for me in gun violence prevention. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. DiGiovanni. I had a couple of questions, if I can ask the chief and maybe even the city attorney. So as I read under the definition of what we're proposing to do, and I raised this at the last discussion about a locked container. My concern was how secure is secure, and what is a locked container, and can we do better than what the California Department of Justice defines as a locked container. When I read the statute that we are relying on, which is the Penal Code 16850, it describes a locked container that is anything that is fully enclosed and locked by a padlock, key lock, combination lock, or similar locking device. So here's my issue. You can buy a padlock at the 99-cent store, and I guess theoretically that fits within the definition. Those padlocks can easily be destroyed, tampered with, broken. And so my question is to the city attorney is, can we define what we want to be considered a locked container that is more narrow than what the state law says a locked container could be? Because it's really, it's not going to serve our purpose if we don't have a law that really does protect and is designed to do what it's supposed to do. Because having a symbolic lock is not going to work, even though it will fit the definition of a padlock. But can we make it such that, for example, it has to be a master lock, or it has to be a certain thickness, or yeah, so this is, I accept this because it's a lock that this thing looks really sturdy, and it seems like it is child safe, but a padlock can be just anything, and that's what I want to avoid. Ms. Zimmerman?
You can make it narrower, but I think we'd have to do some research to make it consistent, if a master lock is secure enough. So we would have to take a look at that. I would defer over to the chief over here to see how other agencies have done that, because I do know they used a baseline definition for the California Penal Code, as lock, but I don't want to get into the variations of types of lock because I don't know for sure if we can, is that industry standard to say that that would be secure? So we would just have a definition that would be applicable.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way I read and researched and interpreted, you're absolutely right what that penal code states as far as what the lock container is. I think the DOJ aspect of it ensures that it's gone through some type of a testing to suggest that it's not easily overcome. You know, whether it's easily picked or, you know, that's why we specifically put it can't be like a purse or a bag or something that could just be easily cut open. It's got to be something that's going to take some work. And I think from my perspective a little bit is I didn't want to do anything that would discourage somebody from actually just going through the process of ensuring that it's a locked, secure container. So every firearm that you purchase from a licensed dealer in the state of California has to come with a DOJ-approved container that could be locked. So every firearm box, everything that, when you come home with a gun, it comes with a box that you could get a padlock to secure.
No,
go ahead.
I don't have a problem with the box, with the container. I think the container is, I don't know, I mean, my more focus is on the actual lock.
Yeah.
I don't want a 99-cent lock on there, and that could be broken very easily. That's where I'm struggling with.
I'm sure there's some standard out there for lock companies, padlock lock companies that require some type of standard for destruction or being able to pick it or something to that extent. I'm sure there's some baseline standard that certifies locks that maybe we could look and see if that was something that we could consider adding as well.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr.
Can I just want to add to, it does say that it's listed in the California Department of Justice Bureau of Firearms roster of approved safety devices. So would the approved safety devices be considered what is a lock? And I don't know if there's other further definitions as the DOJ would approve it, because they do have safety lock devices already.
Yes, they do. I mean, the DOJ's safety lock specifies either trigger locks, boxes, similar to the cable locks that I just gave you. So it does go through their own rigorous testing to ensure that it's not easily.
Yeah, but it says padlocks. And so padlocks can be the 99-cent padlock.
Yeah, I feel like I need to look at, see specifically how that penal code applies when in conjunction with the DOJ. I don't think you could, I would take that and interpret that whatever the lock is meets whatever that DOJ standard is. So you may have a box that locks per DOJ standards, but I'd have to look into it a little bit more to find out specifically what DOJ requires for that lock. So if I have the Glock box that I bring home from a licensed dealer that's lockable, is there a requirement to the type of padlock, to your point, that is part of that DOJ compliance? And I don't know how that answer. I'd have to look into it.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Giovanni.
No, I just wanted to say that I support your suggestion if we can go like any, and are we allowed to put on our website where they can purchase, and then purchase like if the mayor, once you do the research, because if something's DOJ approved, it certainly wouldn't be, I wish they would define it, certainly wouldn't be, would it be the 99-cent version at the Dollar Tree?
No, the DOJ requirements are not. I was just looking at the 16850 penal code as well, and I get that. I interpret this to be in relation to the container itself. Just saying that the container needs to be one that can be locked, and it doesn't necessarily get into the type of lock aspect. It can be locked by multiple locking devices, but I think it focuses more on the container aspect. That penal code does.
Yeah,
But I do agree that, and I can try and look up the DOJ thing real quick, but probably going to take too long.
Well, so, I mean, on the one hand, I want some action, but on the other hand, I think that I'd like it to be a strong resolution or a strong ordinance. And if we don't get it right, there could be consequences. And unless someone has a strong objection, I would propose that we allow the chief to do some more research and come back with a stronger ordinance.
Yeah, I'd be happy to look into other options for the specificity as far as the law is concerned. And it may be covered in the DOJ, but I need to do the research.
Well, let me get my council's opinion. Let me start with Mr. Sylvester. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The purpose we are here today is to bring about awareness for the proper securing of firearms, especially with children. And I think we're moving into, when we're talking about locks, we want a certain type of lock, but locks can be bypassed or by a set of bolt cutters, or even the cable by a set of bolt cutters. But will a 3-year-old or 4-year-old know how to do that? I doubt it. And, but it's safety for the children. We haven't discussed the issue about biometric locks, which is not a padlock in itself, but it's based upon fingerprints or a combination locking mechanism. I think that should be investigated because, again, we're looking at the children and being gun safe around children, but at the same time, by having a stronger container where it is stored, it could be against adults also who may be at your place of residence and et cetera. So I'm definitely all for the definition, or a more confirmed definition as to what would satisfy the requirements. But that should not be, it should not hold up what we are here today, because we can always change. And if I'm not mistaken, Madam City Attorney, when you create legislation that is more restrictive than what is already on the books, it's okay. If it's more restrictive, and that's what we're trying to do here today. Thank you.
Okay, Madam Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, I am in full support of this, as I mentioned earlier, but you bring in a point, if, as a local jurisdiction, if we can make the ordinance stronger, then that means another layer of safety in regards to, I think, your in-depth thought around the legislation regarding padlocks. I think Council Member Sylvester alluded to it as well. Like, what is, you know, if we have the ability to make it stronger, is it biometrics locks, or is it a definition of what type of lock? Yeah, I'm willing to support the research on that, as long as it's, I guess, in the next 2 weeks or a month, and not anything longer than that. But I'm in support of having a stronger ordinance in our community.
Thank you, Madam Vice Mayor. Dr. Rudd.
I'll keep this short. I'm in strong support for anything that can be more specific and that can make this ordinance stronger.
All right, Ms. DiGiovanni.
I definitely want to make it stronger. And then I know that Mr. Sylvester was saying that, Rose, what would be the steps we would have to take if, Mr. Sylvester, if we approve what we have and then have to amend? It would be a long process, correct?
Not necessarily. This is an introduction of ordinance for the council to discuss the language. If it is a major substantive change, we'd probably continue it for further reading. We wouldn't adopt it. It would just be a further reading of the ordinance.
Oh, so then we could just move it to the next?
We would move it to the next meeting again for another reading, but it wouldn't be the adoption of the ordinance.
Yeah, I think we should move it to the next.
Okay, thank you.
And-
Then I support that, because we definitely, if we have the opportunity and we're here, and then I just want to make sure that I know the state law is in effect, and then that right now, that people really should be starting, they probably don't know about the state law in effect. But yes, I'm in full support. If we can do anything to make it stronger, and maybe there's other ways as well, according to Mayor Ray, that if you see anything else in there, then that would be,
I do like the idea of a biometric safe.
Yeah.
I think if we can mandate it, everybody gets a biometric safe, that would be awesome in my book, but I'm not sure we can go that.
They just get really
Thank you.
expensive.
Yeah.
The locks that you have are, again, certified
these are good.
locking devices, and you can get them for under $10.
Yeah.
Some of those
These are
biometric
good.
safes, you start talking several hundred. So I don't want to discourage necessarily.
So the next meeting would be what? What day would that be?
We would just continue this to the next council meeting,
Yeah, what's that? What's the next one?
May 8th.
Can you guys come the next council?
You're not going to get read to us.
All right, so I make a motion to continue this item to the next council meeting of May. All right, I have a motion, a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any objection? Hearing none, this item is continued. All right, let's go on. Thank you, Chief. Let's go on to item 15, which is the general plan amendment to a major subdivision, three-story townhouse at 141 Third Avenue.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council. This is a request by Clarum Homes to amend the Daly City General Plan, change the zoning map, obtain a subdivision approval, a use permit, and obtain design review approval for 14 three-story townhomes on a largely vacant property at 141 Third Avenue. The proposal, as I indicated, includes an amendment to the general plan and a rezoning. We'll review the site plan, but essentially the project is accessed by a 26-foot wide driveway along Third Avenue. There would be an electronic gate that prevents people who don't live in the subdivision from accessing the subdivision. There's a 120-foot internal access road perpendicular to the driveway. Townhome driveways would range from approximately 5 to 13 feet long. Parking would be provided for each unit in a two-car tandem garage. Each unit would have at least one EV-ready space. And there are 7 existing street parking spaces in front of the project that would be available also to persons who live inside the subdivision. The project requires the certification of the CEQA document, the mitigated negative declaration, an amendment to the general plan, a rezoning to R3, which is residential multiple family. The property is currently zoned interim district, which isn't really a zoning district. It's just interim after the property was brought into the city a long time ago through an annexation. There's a use permit requirement that's also needs to be approved because this is essentially a condominium type of a subdivision airspace. And there's an approval of the tentative subdivision map. That's a major subdivision, which is the airspace subdivision for the townhomes, as well as approval of the townhome architectural design. For those of you who are unfamiliar with where the project is, it's located in the area of East Market Street and Hillside Boulevard on 3rd Avenue. Again, this is a largely vacant property. Here's a photograph of it. There's an existing home on the left side that's been vacant for quite some time, but this is a vacant piece of land. There's a better picture of that vacant home. Again, this home would be torn down and the townhome subdivision constructed. To provide the council with a context, this area is largely a 2-story single-family detached homes. This is a view looking south on 3rd Avenue. And this is the Habitat for Humanity project that exists south of the project site. And you're familiar with Habitat Way. And this is Hillside Boulevard looking south. So this is the homes on the right side of the photo are their backyards are on the back side of this proposed development project. So this is the site plan that I discussed earlier. 14 units, townhouses, again, accessed by this, we call this a hammerhead driveway because it kind of looks like, and it's basically a T type of a driveway. And this meets all of our specifications for engineering and fire access. The townhomes are situated in, again, the driveways face internal to the T, the hammerhead driveway. Units 1 through 6, actually their front yards face 3rd Avenue, so the backs are actually accessed by, or the back side is accessed with the garage access. This is the site plan. It shows the parking arrangement and the 2 parking spaces inside each of the townhomes garages. We've worked with the applicant to make sure that the driveways are either long enough to provide a car or too short for anybody to want to park on them. This is sort of an issue we run into with short and long driveways, and so it's something we've worked with the applicant on. The site plan also shows the stormwater treatment mechanisms that are on the north and south side of the site. The proposal requires open space, and this shows the compliance with that. This slide shows the architectural design of the townhomes. It's a contemporary architectural aesthetic. These are 3-story units, and that's important to note. The adjacent residential neighborhood is 2-story largely. We wanted to, the architect has also strived to make sure that the architectural style blends in with the adjacent neighborhood, which is a contemporary design, although from years past, and we do feel that they've done that successfully. These are some of the interior elevations. This is a rendering that shows how the project would fit within the existing neighborhood. This is 3rd Avenue on the left side and the 3-story townhomes. As you can see, each of the units would receive solar panels. This is a view looking north from interior of the site. Again, the driveways are sort of dominate the first floor of the architectural aesthetic here, but it's something that's required by ordinance to provide parking. So, but it is something that architects tried to mitigate by providing a lot of articulation in the architectural design of the units. This is a perspective rendering showing the project looking to the northeast from 3rd Avenue. And again, these units that face 3rd Avenue, these are actually their front doors that do that. The front doors face 3rd Avenue. And this is looking to the southeast from 3rd Avenue. Kind of showing how how the architects attempted to blend in 3-story townhouses with 2-story existing single-family detached homes. We do think they've done a pretty good job of that by providing articulated 3rd floor, kind of recessing that 3rd floor and making the units blend in with 2-story buildings well. This is actually a for sale project, but the project's affordability, the city's affordable housing ordinance requires the payment of a affordable housing fee, and this project's been conditioned to do that. The project's subject to a mitigated negative declaration that was prepared by the city's consultant, and all of the environmental impacts associated with the project have been mitigated to levels of insignificance. The environmental consultants who prepared this document, which is actually the bulk of the council staff report, are present tonight to answer any questions if council members have any. The staff report outlines a number of findings with regard to amending the general plan and rezoning the property. I won't read through each one of these. They're included in the staff report. The Planning Commission reviewed this project and recommends that the City Council adopt the findings that are included in its staff report, affirm the environmental assessment, and approve the general plan amendment, rezoning the subdivision use permit and design review, subject to all the conditions of approval that are outlined in the staff report. If there's any questions, of course, staff is present, and again, the environmental consultant is present, and the applicants are present also to answer any questions the council members may have.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, thank you.
This time, opening the public hearing on this item. I don't have any speaker cards. Right? Okay, none? All right, can I have any questions from the council? Go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Sylvester. I saw your hand first.
Thank you, Mr. Longhausen. I'd like to confirm clarification with the city attorney. What's the minimum number or the maximum number of feet that if I were to vote on this, that I have to be in compliance?
It's 500 feet.
500? Okay. I'm 1,056.
We
All right,
check all
thank you.
that before we,
I'm sorry?
we check all that before we get here.
Oh, thank you, that's good, because I was going to make
Don't
that
you worry.
recommendation, whenever I have something come up before planning for a vote, that we verify each council member, so that's very refreshing to know.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
We had a
Mr.
planning
Montgomery.
commissioner who lives too close to this project who could not actually.
Right. I guess this message is going to be directed to the developer. I saw the rendition of the solar on the roof, and I counted 8 panels. Do we have any estimate as to what that would generate?
Do you want to come up?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Madam Vice Mayor, council members.
What's your name?
My name is Chris Coomer. Thank you. I'm the architect on the project.
Okay.
We're looking at 400 watts per panel. And so if we've got 7 or 8 panels, we have 3,200 watts, something like that for the systems.
Okay, well, I had put it around about 450 kilowatts, so coming out to 3,600, but it's 400, thank you. Any effect that NEMS 2 versus NEMS 3 would be an issue here, or has an application been filed to get grandfathered in?
So I think are you referring to the net metering that
Correct.
that we're losing
Right.
very shortly? Or have
Exactly.
So no, we haven't, I don't
Filed
believe
an
we have
application.
applications in, no, because the filing of the building permit is the gatekeeper there, not this entitlement.
That's very unfortunate. So maybe potential homeowners, maybe we can offer them the ability, if they want, and of course they have to pay them, that they can include storage with those panels. Possibility.
Yeah, that's a possibility,
Okay.
yes.
My second question is, will it be level 2 access available in the garage, in your tandem garage?
That is a good question. Yeah. Yes, level 2.
Okay, level 2, that means 240 volts.
That's correct.
At a minimum, not 120.
No, that's correct. Each one will be wired for 240 and
Thank you.
they'll be ready.
No further questions, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much.
That was one of my questions. Thank
Madam Vice Mayor, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. The question I had was, well, first and foremost, I've been looking at that empty lot for a while. I grew up in Daly City, and I always wondered, when is something ever going to happen there? And so I think it's great that there's going to be more housing. We need more of it. I like the design, and definitely the aesthetics of it. But I would be curious, have you calculated what the in lieu fees would be, perchance?
Thank you for the question. Yes, the city has calculated, and it's over $1 million.
Over $1 million.
So that's part of the project, is to pay into the housing fee significantly.
Okay. Well, I think we're in need of housing. Also, the opportunity for home ownership as well. That lot has been empty for quite some time. So, yeah, I'm for it. Thank you.
Can I see the picture again of the lot and the houses on it? From the aerial view. There you go. So, the houses that are on the north, just looking at like a northeast, would they not have backyards?
They all have backyards.
Oh, they
That's
do. I
correct.
just
Yes,
maybe can't see
it's
it.
just the angle of the rendering. So you can probably see on the bottom right, there's a yard there, and that continues through the rear yards of all of them.
So it's all equal size?
They differ slightly,
Okay.
but they do have significant rear yards, each of them.
And their backyard is someone else's backyard?
Their backyard abuts
Yeah.
hillside neighbors' backyard, correct?
And then can you tell me what's on the third floor versus what's on the second floor?
Yes, the third floor is bedroom space, and the second floor is the living space, kitchen and family room space.
Is there also a living space on the bottom floor?
Most of the bottom floor is parking space, and there's also a little living space, that's correct.
Like a one room?
One room, yes.
Okay. And then for parking of the residents, they have two tandem garage spots?
That's correct.
Okay. And are they allowed to park in the driveway? Are they going to have time parking in there?
Thank you, good question. So as Michael mentioned, some of the driveways are large enough, so we've designed them to be large enough to support a car. And you can see, those would be the ones you drive in the Hammerhead and turn around, and you could park a car in those driveways. Then some of them have been intentionally made too short, so you could never park a car.
I see.
And that's mostly the ones along the rear.
Okay. And how many bedrooms? Is it equal amount of bedrooms?
That's correct, yes, they're all the same.
All the same. Okay. What's the parking in terms of the pedestrian parking on the front? Do you know?
So care was taken to replace the amount of spaces that are there now. So I believe that was, I'm going off of memory, I believe that was 7.
So it's the same?
So it's the same.
I see. Okay. All right, thank you. Any other questions? No?
Yes, I have.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to bring that up. I'm glad the mayor did, because over a long length of time, when the lot has sat empty, neighborhood becomes accustomed to right-of-way parking. Will we lose any parking along Third Avenue down at the bottom?
Right, that's my recollection. That was important for staff as a part of the project, was to not lose any parking. So I believe we've maintained those 7 spaces.
Well, according to your diagram there, you're probably going to acquiesce and provide 2 spaces because of the cutout for the driveway.
I believe it's so again, I'm going off memory, but I know what you're saying. I'm saying you take space out and you lose parking.
Right.
But I believe that was how it was laid out. And I mean, because I believe the spaces are marked off.
All right. Well, what I'm getting at is careful thought went into this, and it's really much appreciated to try to minimize the loss of right-of-way parking anyway. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks for your questions.
And I'm just trying to visualize when people are going to back in, do you anticipate people being able to back out and then, I don't know how you describe it. What I'm hopeful of is that people who park there aren't going to back out into the street. Are they going to have enough room to maneuver so that they don't back out into the street?
Yes, so there's 20 feet of back out for each driveway, minimum, because the fire lane access requires that width. And then you add 4 feet of sidewalk, and you've got 24 feet. And 24 feet is sort of the standard back out for a turn and back out. So each one of these has at least 24 feet back out and turn from a garage door.
I see. So you can assure us that they don't have to back out, they can actually go forward out of that location?
Yeah, they should be able to back out of their garages and either turn or just back out straight and then proceed forward.
Okay.
Yeah, nobody should be backing out. I can't account for people's abilities, but that's how it's designed.
Plenty of room.
That's correct.
All right, that's it. Thank you. Any other questions or comments? No? All right, can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion for the city attorney to read by title only.
Motion to have city attorney read by title only.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Go ahead, Madam City Attorney.
Thank you. This is an ordinance of the City of Daly City, amending the Daly City zoning map, rezoning from ID interim district to R3 residential multifamily district.
Council member to introduce the ordinance, who would like to introduce?
Happy to introduce.
All right, Councilmember Manalo. Let's go into adopt the resolution by roll call. Can I get a motion to adopt the resolution?
So move.
Can I get a second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Ms. DiGiovanni,
Aye.
Dr. Rod,
Aye.
Ms. Manalo,
Aye.
Mr. Sylvester,
Glenn Sylvester, aye.
Mr. Buenaventura.
Aye. Thank you, Rich. Appointments, Board Commission, Membership Committee appointments. Any appointments today?
Yes, I do.
Go
I
ahead.
do have an appointment. To the Personnel Board, this evening, I would like to appoint Miss Marianne Mann. She has been an outstanding community member and has decades of service to our community and continuously gives to our community. But I think she would be a great asset to our Personnel Board.
Great.
Glenn Sylvester, I'd like to second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any objection? Hearing none, you are appointed. Congratulations, Maria. Welcome back.
Yay.
All right, any other board, commission, membership committee appointments? Hearing none, let's go on to reports. Council committee reports. Any council committee reports? Go ahead, Mr. Giovanni.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I had the first in-person commute.org. We met in Burlingame at their, we met in a new recreation area. And at commute.org, we got approved in Daly City for projects that a shuttle report came in. And the shuttle that got approved is the one that will be going from Seton to BART. And then they are also planning 2 upcoming programs. One will be Bike to Anywhere, that I will be able to give more details the next time. And then the next meeting that I had in person for the first time in a while was Safe Routes to School. At Safe Routes to School, I remember, as a way of background, as soon as they came out with it 4 years ago, becoming a part of it. And the first school we went to do the walk audit, which is with the county as well, which is in our engineers. One of our engineers was able to attend, even though it was in Broadmoor, because there's a connectivity along the Park Plaza area and where the children out of the backside of the Ben Franklin School, where they also exit, comes onto that Park Plaza. And as you go up the hill towards that stop sign on Park Plaza, where the visibility is very limited, as we found out, there's a couple of suggestions that our engineer and the student leaders had, especially in that area, that are in a report and will be given to Mr. Chu if he hasn't already seen it. And then at the afternoon, we did a walk audit at the TR Policita with Safe Routes to School. And it's also funded with the County of Education. I wanted to let you people know that it's funded with our county and our funding from CCAG. And at TR Policita, we also looked at the SAM Trans, where the large amount of the 8th graders take that bus. And I would say there would be about 40 or 50 kids that actually ride that. At Ben Franklin as well, SAM Trans bus, actually at least 30. So it was great to see that, but we wanted to make sure that it was positioned. There was great suggestions that'll be in that report as well, of our Safe Routes to School, and that program will continue. And I want to give a big shout out to the new hire that Mr. Chu has. I believe his name is Chris, Mr. Chu, the new hire. He was really great. Really great, of course, and he's from Daly City. And Shirley, Alex, as well, came, and Kevin to, of course, the TR Policita, and a great collaboration on both ends with everyone for that. And those are the 2 regional meetings that I attended, Mr. Mayor, at that time.
All right. Thank you, Ms. DiGiovanni. Any other council committee reports? Dr. Rod, no?
Yes, for council committee reports. I attended the CCAG board meeting on April 13th, and also wanted to let my colleagues know that I also got appointed to the Congestion Management and Environmental Quality Committee, which met also recently. Today it meets Mondays from 3 to 5 every month. And so, and also when I have to thank Council Member Dr. Rod for joining CCAG when actually I was really sick. And I know you were also, but virtually. And since Daly City is one of the pilot cities towards ensuring equity, he suggested to make sure to join the committee for that. And so I also joined the Equity Committee on CCAG. And so going full force with CCAG with that appointment. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Manalo. Any other council committee reports? Hearing none, let's go on to city council reports. City council reports. Anyone?
City council reports?
Go ahead.
Yeah? Okay. Okay. On April 13th, with Mayor Buenaventura leading and welcoming the United Pangasinans. That was really an amazing event here at City Hall. And I know that staff with assistant to this city manager Leilani Ramos and also city manager Tom Piccoletti with all of the department really did a tremendous job. I know it was through your leadership, Mayor, to really bring them on board, but they had a large delegation that was here just to learn about our city functions and also be able to exchange ideas. And then on April 14th, really amazing to see all the volunteers, the Senior Volunteer Appreciation Luncheon that was held at Dulger. All of the department heads were serving the volunteers. I couldn't help but just stand there. I know staff was like, no, you just smile at everyone. And I'm like, no, I can't. Give me some gloves. Denise was trying not to give me gloves. But I really enjoyed being able to serve the seniors and also other volunteers that continuously give. Opal did her magic with her delicious food. Outstanding. And also Leslie provided an amazing meditative stretch that I knew everyone enjoyed at that moment. On April 15th, the Jefferson High School parade happened. Kudos to our Jefferson varsity basketball team and then also our varsity soccer team. I just want to say amazing work to the coaches, John Falabala, and also Coach Luis Magallanes. Also present there was Senator Scott Wiener and Supervisor David Canepa to honor those athletes. On the very same day, there was the San Mateo Highway 101 Express Lane celebration. So if you go on Highway 101 now, there's an opportunity to go into that express lane, meaning, you know, it's a faster way to commute. But also with that program is an equity piece to it. And so with those dollars that are generated, there's actually a portion of those dollars that go into clipper carts to communities of need. Just to make sure that there's that equity portion to it because not everyone drives. And so that's a program that I know is also will be disseminated to the city of Daly City and the community. At that event, there was Congressman Kevin Mullen and also Assemblywoman Diane Pappin with our supervisor, David Canepa. After that event, headed back to Jefferson High School. It was a busy day that day. And they had a car show at their annual car show. And it was really, every time it just gets bigger and bigger. And I know a lot of participation happens to support Jefferson High School. And so I will say at the Jefferson Parade that we did have our police and fire present. So thank you Acting Chief Christensen for being there, as well as the firefighters, to honor the athletes. I know. I just wanted to mention that. And then on Geneva Avenue, that corridor, there's actually the opening of Dragon House MMA. And so that opened up, and, you know, it's really an opportunity. A lot of community members have come in to check it out, but they will have classes. And I will say, like, the father, one of the owner's father was, I think, a legendary, someone who was legendary in the art form of Kung Fu. And so, and then in the very end, joined that day on the 15th, joined Mayor Bonaventura in the 52nd celebration of the United Pangasinans of, is it the? Incorporated. So that was one day. I'm going to tell, I will just share the rest of the other dates maybe at another day, because it will be, we're almost at 10 o'clock, but I'll report it in another day, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Manella. Any other city council reports?
I'll probably just start off, but we all attended the Progress Seminar in Santa Rosa this past weekend. I'm just going to give up my highlights, and then if anybody else wants to hop on, feel free. I think one of the workshops that stood out to me was the heart math practice that talked about the power of the heart and how it communicates both to the mind and how it has its own kind of language. And when people think of people's auras or intuitions, we kind of think of it as some sort of like hippie methodology or hippie perspectives. But one thing that I learned from these presenters is that there's actually hard research behind it in terms of EKG, blood pressure, energy, electricity that happens when people speak or when you're in connection with one another. There was 3 other workshops that were there too, that was based on housing, based on environment, and labor. But if my other colleagues want to hop on, feel free to do so.
Thank you, Dr. Ryan. Go ahead, Ms. DiGiovanni.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll just add a couple of things to that, because it was great, the heart math. It's called heart math as well, and it really does work. We had to breathe in for 5 seconds.
Yeah, it's like meditation.
Breathe out for 5 seconds and envision. What would you like to see in your vision for San Mateo County? And then you share that with a partner, where they team you up as a partner as well. And you could see, actually, the person I was with was an elected official from another city. Her blood pressure actually went down, and you could see the pulse rates and everything level out. It was really good. And I'd also like to highlight that we actually have in our county, and it's a Sutter Health Mobile Stroke Unit. They had this available for viewing up there with all of us this weekend. And the story that they told was that it saved a life of a Daly City resident. That was the story they told. So the fact is, it doesn't matter what your insurance is, it doesn't matter what you have. This serves our San Mateo County now. And the doctor actually she went into details about the different types of signs that they see if they know it's a stroke, and how they were able to transport. And then we all know that stroke is all about timing, and that they are working with, as our acting chief probably already knows, they're working with our police officers and our firefighters and first responders. And this has been a general health and is already saving lives. So they're ahead of their time. And I thank Dr. Rod for adding to all the great workshops that we all came away with. And then had a round table before we left with Congressman Mullen and Assemblymember Diane Pappin to give us great feedback about, what it's like and what we can do together. And it doesn't matter, we need to all come together. And I think that's a great point that I think I got from this, that it doesn't matter, that we all need to start thinking that way. And the word collaboration came out a lot through a lot of the Progress Seminar. So that was mine. And then also, given that the vice mayor had spoken about the volunteer appreciation for all those seniors, and Denise and Opal and Brian, and, I mean, everybody was there. Firefighters, police, Mr. Piccolotti, Mr. Cosgrove, Mr. Gregg. I saw everybody there. I was like, wow. Natalie was there, HR, Tatum. I mean, there's a big shout out. Leilani. I mean, it was so great to see our librarians and everyone. And then we get in there, they had the little cart, they were all organized. Of course, they're organized, it's Daly City, right? And how happy they were serving the seniors and knowing that this is what we do to celebrate all the volunteers, because that's what makes Stolger and makes our heart beat. Very loud and proud with Leslie and everyone else, and Andrea from the library, and many more people that come together and make it why we love our Daly City. So I also want to highlight when the vice mayor was speaking about Jefferson, and then the car, I was very humbled that it was the soccer team that for the first time Jefferson's soccer team had ever won anything. And I loved it because they were mostly Spanish speakers, and they had the videos going, and as we went around the corner, they were so full of life and happiness. And the basketball team had been decades as well, and that there was a lot of excitement in the parade, and great opportunity to be with one another, and really appreciate it with our high school district. They Rosie and Andy and Kalima. It was really beautiful. And the boosters as well, with Teresa Papua and Reina. They all coordinated everything with the cars, of course. And I want to but to let people know today is the Armenian Genocide Remembrance Day. So that genocide happened in 1915. And so for many years, still now, people have denied that this genocide even happened. And it was over 1.5 million people lost by the Ottoman Empire. And so today, it marked its anniversary and will continue. And it's the state of California in 2022 that decided to make it a Remembrance Day, along with Canada and other countries. But it's sadly that there are still states to this day that deny this genocide even happened. So on days like this, when we say never again and never forget, we really have to mean it, and that's for any genocide of any people. So I think it's important for us to remember that, and that it happens in many cultures. So that's it for now. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Sylvester.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll keep it brief. I wanted to comment on one of the other meetings at Progress Seminar that I enjoyed attending, and that was sustainability for the future. Yeah. Apparently in the year 2035, the governor wants to make sure that there will be no more purchase available of ICE vehicles. So what if you have an ICE vehicle right now? Well, you're grandfathered in, but you won't be able to buy another one. So that's in 2035. So what are we doing? Have you noticed the power shutoffs recently as a result of the winds and et cetera? Well, you know, we are really taxing our grid via electricity-wise. We need to get more folks, and especially starting with our students in high school, to in apprenticeship programs so they can install solar and et cetera. Remember the old days of machine shop and wood shop? Not all high school kids wants to be doctors and lawyers. So they want to start a push for an apprenticeship program and also get the message out about Peninsula Clean Energy and what they offer, to including loans. And they challenged us and say, do one thing to help move towards sustainability. Buy an EV, put in a waterless, tankless heater, and there's so many other things, or change your light bulbs. So do your part. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sylvester. Any other city council reports?
I just want to add something.
Go ahead.
For a progress seminar, I think I think one aspect I wanted to add was that at this seminar, you have a culmination of elected officials. For those watching, you may not, we say Prognos seminar, but it's actually also businesses and all the private sector, the public sector, and then the nonprofit sector. So it's a really unique opportunity to share ideas cross-sectorally for really the progress of San Mateo County. So I think that it's really unique when I speak to other folks that have are from other jurisdictions, whether they're Santa Clara County or other areas. They say that there is actually not an event like Progress Seminar in other counties. So it's very unique that we have this on an annual basis. And thank you. Mr. Mayor, if I may add, I wanted to share that the Director of External Relations with the Jewish Community Relations Council had reached out to me, and I met with Jonathan, and I would ask for next month if we can have Jewish American Heritage Month resolution, and that's something that was requested when I met with him.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Ms. DiGiovanni, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I just want to also add that, remember when we talked about life sciences before and how innovative, and that is a way for us to get out of the, as we all know, we're, especially in Daly City, budget deficits. So I've been in talks with, well, most people know that I brought it up about a few months ago, about a month or two ago, and when I had my city council report, and to remind people that life sciences is where it's at. That's where we're going to do our economic energy, and that we approve projects during the airport land use that we didn't necessarily look for certain criteria like it used to be, because there's different levels of life sciences. So there's a different mechanism that they're both looking for, and what they're looking for in certain realms. After the speaking on the panel and talks with them on what was it they want to do. And of course, one of the things they love about Daly City is that we're very close to UCSF. So since they already are aware that we already have two, that they are looking into other areas as well, and have been in touch with them to make sure that we also be a part. We may not be like South City and have the area, but we will be able to attract life sciences in Daly City and get us in the economic revenue that we need so badly, and to be keeping up with everybody else in the other cities. And as for the Jewish relations, yes, I do that because we did that last year as well. But thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. I just want to also say that I want to thank the staff, particularly to Tom and to Leilani and all the directors for accommodating and welcoming the Pangasinan group. You guys did a tremendous job. They really enjoyed the visit, and it was very informative, and I think built a good relationship with them. And then I also want to say, I want to thank, it is noticeable that you are all still here. A lot of the leadership of Daly City is here. Mr. Chu's been standing for 3 hours, and so is Acting Chief Christensen every time we meet. And it's noticeable how you guys come and you stay, and I know you don't have to. And I just want you, it is meaningful that you're here. So thank you for that. Okay, with that, any staff report?
Yeah, just briefly, thank you, Mayor. At last Monday's study session, we were tasked with taking a hard look at our discretionary spending in our operating accounts, and we've begun that, and shortly we'll be providing the information as to what that looks like. So I want to just give the council an update on that subject. And also, there's a couple announcements that Leilani has, so I'll turn it over to her, but we'll be getting that information to you shortly.
Great, thank you, Tom. Go ahead.
Just
3 quick announcements for events that are coming up. So in celebration of Earth Day, we have 2 events, April 27th and April 28th. We have a free compost giveaway that will be hosted at the Department of Water and Wastewater, located at 153 Lake Merced Boulevard, and the hours will be 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Residency is required. We also have our annual Earth Day recycling event at City Hall. That will be on Saturday, May 6th from 9:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. And that will include e-waste, mattresses, tires, and secure document shredding. We also have volunteer opportunities for neighborhood and park cleanups as well. And then this Thursday, April 27th, we are hosting the Youth Poet Laureate, DCPLA's annual program at City Hall, 6:30 p.m.
Thank you, Leilani. All right, and we are at the point of adjourning in memories. Let me start with Dr. Rod.
Yes, I'd like to adjourn in memory of one of my former students' grandfather. My student's name is Mauricio Alfonso. His grandfather is Luis Manuel Alfonso. He was born October 29, 1936, and transitioned March 27, 2023. He was born in Pakistan, and it was just ironic because we just had a whole group of folks that came from that area in the Philippines, where he served as an insurance agent for 16 years, but he was laid off because of martial law in the Philippines, and because of curfew, he couldn't do his job. So he came to America in the 70s, and throughout the couple of decades he was living here in the Bay Area, he was a hotel worker. He worked in a gas station in Daly City. And in 2003, he moved to Oregon, where he bought a house and started another career. And this is where he met my student, who is ethnically Mexican, and he was adopted by a Filipino man and his wife. And so he adopted Mauricio at 3 years old and came back to South San Francisco in the Bay Area in 2013, where I believe Mauricio will be transferring to a 4-year college, but he wished that he called him Papa, that he was there to see him in his next stage of his academic career. So, rest in peace.
Thank you, Dr. Rod. Let me turn to Councilmember Sylvester. You have 2 adjourned memories.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I'd like to adjourn in memory of William Ian Lewis. He was born in January of 1982. The only child to Michael Lewis and Sharon Brown. Michael and his stepmother Pamela, along with Sharon and stepfather Edmund, created a village of support for William throughout his life. William's favorite hobby was playing video games, watching Star Wars and other movies with his friends. And I remember him, he served in the military forces. I think his MO was aircraft and helicopter maintenance. He collected drones, toy helicopters, and airplane posters. He loved going to Las Vegas, eating out, and sharing a glass of Gentleman's Jack Daniels and a smoke. He enjoyed tinkering, taking other things apart to see how they could be rebuilt. He purchased a 3D printer to work on inventions he might create. William was very passionate about promoting Black businesses and supporting Black thought. He was working on a website called The Black Embassy, where he wanted to shine a light on positive achievements happening in the Black community. He leaves behind to celebrate his life his father, Michael Lewis, who I used to work with, mother Sharon Brown, stepmother Pamela Lewis, stepfather Edmund G. Brown, and grandmother Doris Robertson, and a host of loving aunts and uncles, cousins, and dedicated, supportive friends. Next one, I would like to adjourn in memory of Jennifer Quema Phillimore. She passed away on the 13th of this month, and she was born in 1962 in Baguio City in the Philippines, the youngest child of 3 to parents Ross and Parita Quema. Jennifer was a beloved mother, sister, auntie, mother-in-law, friend, and co-worker who touched the lives of all who knew her with her warm and generous spirit. She was known for her infectious laughter, quick wit, and unwavering kindness to those around her. She had the ability to instantly make anyone feel welcome, including me. Jennifer was always the first person on the dance floor with her unforgettable dance moves and was the cool mom, listening to the latest music, hanging out and going to concerts and events with her children, their partners, nieces, and nephews. Jennifer loved her family and friends and always supported them with her unconditional love. She lived in San Francisco since she was 3 years old and grew up in the Soma district, and then the Sunset district, where she lived at 42nd and Quintara for 51 years. Jennifer was a true San Francisco and attended Mark Twain Elementary, A.P. Giannini, Abraham Lincoln, and City College in San Francisco State. She wore many hats throughout the years, personal and professional life, over 40 years at Bank of America and Wells Fargo. She worked in various areas, predominantly within project management. She has been fortunate to work with so many talented individuals, help make a difference in the lives of others. As a mom, Jennifer was a dedicated room parent, volunteer, team manager, and known as Coach Jenny by her children and basketball teammates. She always went well above and beyond for her children. On March 18th, she was diagnosed with acute myeloid leukemia and went through many rounds of chemotherapy, briefly achieved remission, then relapsed, all while waiting for a bone marrow stem cell transplant match. Jennifer fought a tough and courageous battle with leukemia for the past year, and throughout the journey, she never lost a positive attitude. She is joining her father, Ross, in heaven, and is survived by her mother, Parita, 2 children, Leah and Craig, and their partners, Zachary and Justine. She's also survived by her sibling and their families, her brother, Eric, who I also worked with, and his partner, Linda, their children, nephew, Derek, and niece, Michelle, with her partner, Darlene, and their daughter, Madeline, and Jennifer's sister, Beverly Moncada, and her partner, Toddy, their daughter, and their niece, Kelsey, and her partner, Ryan. She will always be remembered. She will always be remembered as a kind, compassionate, and loving person who made a positive impact on the world around her. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Manalo.
Johnny Ligot Giron, born on March 8, 1927, died on April 18, 2023, is the husband of Araceli Santos Giron. Together, the couple have 4 children, Maria Teresa, Bambi Wilma, Joel Benjamin, and John John. Johnny came from Layog City, Ilocos Norte, in the Philippines, where he met his wife and started a family. Around the 80s, Johnny immigrated to the Bay Area and moved around the peninsula, most especially Daly City, where he resided by the Westmore neighborhood. Despite being away from home, Johnny and his wife passed down many of the Filipino traditions to their children and their grandchildren. Johnny supported his wife and kids through various jobs, but one of his most memorable ones he would mention to his grandchildren and their children would be working as a baggage screener at the San Francisco International Airport. Every shift he took meant he would meet with new faces and new stories. It was his job he prided in doing, even earned himself a trophy for being the best worker at that time. In terms of hobbies, Johnny was also named Johnny Midnight by close family and friends, as he would always had a habit of coming back home after midnight from a day's worth of exploring through public transit. Even when he was 80+ years old, people would randomly find him at bus stops across Daly City. He frequented Ceremony Mall and would later find himself at the dancing halls in the city. Dancing is another hobby of his that everyone in the family knows well of. He can dance anything from the waltz, cha-cha, salsa, and rumba. His family and friends will always remember him in many ways. It could be his stubbornness, his determination, and his love for the family. It could be his love of dancing and also cooking. It could be how he often picked up his grandchildren and great-grandchildren from school and treated them with a snack. Lolo Johnny was everyone's Lolo. He saw the family grow and grow more each day of his life. The family that he built and supported in Daly City has now expanded all over the Bay. He leaves behind his children, his 6 grandchildren, Luke, Iona, Nicole, Ariel, Jonas, Gerald, and Francis, and his 7 great-grandchildren, Mia, Leah, Mason, Jonavan, Arnell, and Faith, and many of his loved ones and godchildren.
Thank you, Ms. Manalo. All right, with that, let's take a moment of silence to honor those who have passed. All right, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.